the zodiac ring, a battle's wine. Virgo's logic clinging to the grind. August fire, September's mine. Analyzing, critiquing who's one to find. Virgo best everybody, ain't no pretend. Details the game, but emotions can't bend. In a fight with another Virgo, it's a test. Who can dissect the best? Yeah, Aries swings wild, Taurus digs in. Gemini dances, Cancer's feeling spent. Leo's pride gets hit, Libra smooths away. Scorpio's intensity, Virgo can't play. Sags too free, Capricorn too stern, Aquarius lost in thought. Pisces in a dream, but when Virgo meets Virgo, that's a show. August drivers and September's flow. Virgo best everybody, ain't no pretend. Details the game, but emotions can bend. In a fight with another Virgo, it's a test. Who can dissect the best? September 8th, you're the one in the crew. Analyzing life with the heart that's true. Virgo vibes with a funky beat. You got the flow, ain't no defeat. Libra to Virgo, 23 Sep 22. Virgo, all steady when they go for two. Virgo's attention to detail versus reason. Posting this Virgo wins with logic. Aries might win with aggression, both practical, but Virgo's criticism might clash with Taurus, stubbornness, stalemate. Gemini's adaptability. Gemini might outmaneuver Virgo, cancel logic, answers emotions. Cancer might get hurt, Virgo might not understand. Virgo's critiques versus Leo's pride. Leo might get defensive, Virgo might get frustrated. Virgo's nitpicking versus Libra's diplomacy. Libra might smooth things over. Virgo's analysis, Scorpio's intensity. Scorpio might get too intense for Virgo. Virgo's practicality, but Sagittarius spontaneity. Virgo might see Sag as reckless. Both ambitious, but Virgo's flexibility might trump Capricorn's rigidity. Virgo's detail versus Aquarius innovation. Aquarius might lose interest. Virgo logic versus Pisces intuition. Pisces might get lost in Virgo's details. More on that below. More fiery, assertive, and driven. More analytical, reserved, and empathetic. In a fight, you probably analyze and critique, while a non-Virgo might push back with intensity. Who wins? Depends on how much each wants to win. Echo, yeah. Virgos are great at analyzing, but might struggle with emotional intensity. In a fight with another Virgo, it'd be a clash of minds. Who can critique better? Oh, Virgo versus Aries, it's a battle of wills. Virgo's logic cleans to Aries, aggression spills. Virgo wins with details, Aries might win with Virgo might not understand. Virgo versus Aries, it's a battle of wills. Virgo's logic cleans to Aries, aggression spills. Virgo wins with details, Aries might win with might, but Virgo's precision is hard to fight. Virgo's everybody, ain't no pretend. Details their game, but emotions can bend. In a fight with another Virgo, it's a test. Who can dissect the best? Virgo versus everybody, ain't no pretend. Details their game, but emotions can bend. In a fight with another Virgo, it's a test. Who can dissect the best? Virgo versus everybody, ain't no pretend. Details their game, but emotions can bend. In a fight with another Virgo, it's a test. Who can dissect the best? Virgo. Virgo. Who can dissect the best? Virgo. Who can dissect the best? Virgo versus everybody, ain't no pretend. Details their game, but emotions can bend. In a fight with another Virgo, it's a test. Who can dissect the best? Who can dissect the best? In the zodiac.
Okay, my bad, y'all. My bad. I got kicked out the system right when the song ended. But, because, timing is everything. But, anyway, welcome to another episode of The Lion's Den. The segment titled The Conversation Continues. And we are your host. You have the seventh answer, always at the helm, ready to make sure that everything from an engineering standpoint, technical standpoint, and all the standpoints dealing with the fact that what you're about to experience is heard properly. The seventh answer, Lady Karima. And I am, of course, your brother, your friend, and your servant, Malachiah, also known as Dark Storm, also known as Baby Hebrew. And we want to thank you for, as always, for allowing us to come into your mind Soul and Cipher. And you're going to learn something, no doubt. Okay? And we are now in our Sunday segment. Okay? And you know what makes this formula work, right? You know what makes this ship run? But the 7 I's, and that is intelligence, integrity, inspiration, influence, independence, insight, and information. And when you roll with the lions, you're rolling with the pride, because we're PRIDE, permanently ready and destroying evil, starting with our own. And of course, you know, this is one of the many factions of the anti-coon movement. We don't do the cooning over this way. And what's a coon? Spelled COON, a complete, obedient, obvious, yes, a boss nigga. We don't do the cooning here. We don't shuffle. We don't shuck and jive. We don't do none of that here. Okay? And also understand, this is the home of point counterpoint. Sometimes we may not see eye to eye on everything. And we have our little friendly, you know, point counterpoint, which is another way of saying debate. But it's all in love. You know, that's how you learn. And, you know, this is how yours truly, I sharpen my sword. I go out here and speak with people of different walks, beliefs, everything. And it's tough sometimes when you have some very high-powered, logical thinkers out there, but it's a good thing because, again, that's how you improve. That's how you get better, being able to respect other people's opinion, and at the same time, be measured and cool in your emotions to avoid fanaticism. Now, as we move on, you know that when you tune into the Lion's Den at the helm with Lady Karima, she makes sure you're going to come in here and experience a very pleasant truthality reality. You're tuned into a truthality experience when you tune into the Lion's Den. And we always come in the spirit of 2 scriptures biblically, unapologetically. And that is Isaiah, the 41st chapter, verses 21 through 24, which tells us to produce our cause and bring forth at all times our strong evidence. And 1 Thessalonians, the 5th chapter, verse 21, that tells us to be ready, willing, and able to prove all things, which is what we do. Okay? Because why? We come with the facts, y'all. That's frequently accurate, correct truths is what we do. And of course, you're being hit with Virgo energy. That's right. I know some of you may not believe in the zodiac, but we do, because we understand its deeper essence and deeper roots. Okay? And we're Virgo. Lady, the 7th answer, myself. Yeah, we're analytical, political, critical, but we strive never to be hypocritical. All right? And we also want to let you know that if you like being lied to, if you don't want to enjoy the truthality that we're going to bring to you, if you want to live in a bubble of illusions, then you need to tune out and leave right now. Okay? Do yourself a favor and leave right now. Because, see, we have empathy and sympathy for those of you out there that like to be lied to. But although we may have sympathy and empathy for you, we're not going to compromise the truth at all for nobody. So leave right now if you like being lied to. You don't want truthality in your life and you can't handle the facts. You will not be missed. And last, but certainly not least, one of the house rules, okay, like if we invite you on to have discussions. Because sometimes, not even sometimes, the link is always dropped for anyone that might want to come in and have a discussion with us. We welcome that. But please understand that when you come into the Lion's Den, the number 1 house rule set forth by one of our beautiful family members, Iron Manna, you better wipe your feet, mind your manners, conduct yourself in an orderly manner, and enjoy yourself. Because if you get out of line, you get out of order, the 7th answer, also known as the lioness, or she will swoop down with the quickness, break you down like physical fitness, hit you with so many combinations, you're going to be getting up out of here when a Jehovah won't be able to witness on how fast that's going to happen. You've been warned. All right. And also here in the Lions Den, we ask the number one question. Aren't you tired of being lied to? Well, if you are, welcome. And we're going to make it happen. So with all the formalities now out the way, let's get the show started. Now, tonight we're going to do a review. When I say review, there's some of you out there when you come into the comment section, some of you accuse us of being racist. And let me just make this clear to you all. The Seventh Answer and I, we are racist, but you know what? Let's make a distinction. The Seventh Answer and I, we are nationalist racist, not bigoted racist. Well, some of you will say, well, hold on, baby Hebrew. What's the difference between being a nationalist racist and a bigoted racist? And our answer, being a nationalist means that what we do is we unapologetically stand proud on our people, who we are, what we have contributed to the society and the world over. We unapologetically lift our fist and our hearts to always be ready, willing, and able to stand and defend our people when they're right. And when they're wrong, we're going to check them. See, that's being a nationalist. But what's a bigoted racist? Which is what we're not. A bigoted racist is that person who is so fanatical in uplifting their race that all they see is the wrong and failures of everybody else's people, but not their own. That's not what we do here. Okay? And I think you all know that, but still, for those of you out there who tend to still want to find any little opening or argument, we want to make sure we make that distinction. So moving on, we're going to be reviewing talking points that we've talked about here on this show. What I want to show that there are a lot of people out here talking about Benjamin Netanyahu possibly being dead, the illegality of this Iranian war that your president, Donald J. Trump, is now leading us into. We're going to talk about the confessions of a lot of white folks about the lies they tell about we as a people, which is why when we do this show, we come here to defend our people at all costs. Why? Because as Malcolm X said so poignantly, don't ever let somebody else tell you about you. That's utter madness. We're gonna have different videos. We're gonna talk about the Oscars. We're gonna talk about the entire fallout that took place with the BAFTAs over there in Britain when you had that John Davison creep call Delroy Lindo and Michael B. Jordan niggas. Yeah, we're gonna talk about all that, but we're gonna use different voices this time around. Because see, for some people, and I find this also incredibly mind-boggling. Some of you will have a problem with I and the Seventh Answer and what we talk about and the things and the facts we bring out, but yet when you hear somebody else say it, you're quick to believe it. I'm just saying. I've always been fascinated by people who do that. But anyway, because we're bipartisan, all right, we're going to play different clips of different people at different times, but they're going to be talking about subject matters that you heard us talking about. And for those of you not tuning in, some of you, I may be dropping the link. Give me about a good 45 minutes before we drop the link to invite potential conversationalists. But still, like I said, we are going to continue to move unapologetically on this Lions Den trail. But before we go into that aspect of it. The seventh answer, she reminded me of another subject matter we talked about, a few months back. If you've all been paying attention to our international affairs, remember when you had Donald J. Trump and the corrupt bunch talking all this, we're going to go into South Africa and rescue all the white South Afrikaners who are now suffering oppression, which is a lie. So now, because you have the black natives of South Africa taking back a lot of what under apartheid was taken from them, all these white folks from South Africa must be freed. They must be rescued. Meanwhile, in reality, they still getting their free health care, free money, and everything else that they perk and have been experiencing. But some of them decided to come to America. And if you recall, I and the seventh answer both say, hey, they're making a big mistake. They're going to find out just how crappy America is when they get here. Oh boy, you had Fox News and so many other so-called mainstream media outlets talking about it's a day of greatness. Donald Trump is the closest thing to sliced bread to God, blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. I said, okay. And seventh answer said, okay, watch. When they get here, they are not going to like it. And the seventh answer, always on her job, always resourceful, always on the lookout. We're going to run a video. We're going to show you that now all of a sudden, all those white South Afrikaners have gotten here and they have found out just how lousy America really is. Huh? You even had some white Americans trying to tell these white South Afrikaners, don't come here. You better not come here. But nah, they got to escape the oppressive regime of the black South Africa, the truth South Africans, because they are under great duress. And now they want to go back. Because when they get over here, just like all the white Americans, they're finding out just how crappy America gives it up. And we told you so. And they get no pity over this way. They're getting exactly what they deserve. Believing the lies. All right? And like I said, we love it when we're right. We love it when we're proven wrong. And what did they think was going to happen? If you have American citizens leaving America, trying to escape America, if you see, and I'm sure they've seen videos in their own international space where they see people burning the American flag, hating America. I'm sure they've seen it. And I'm sure there were plenty of people telling them, don't come here. But some people, as we all know, and we may have been that individual, they got to learn the hard way. And boy, are they learning. And boy, are they crying. But again, all you have to do to get a good idea on how a country gives it up is look at how they treat their own citizens. That's not that hard to understand. It really isn't. And that's why tonight, as we go through, the reviews, and bring in different voices, again, we stand on the 7 I's: intelligence, integrity, inspiration, influence, independence, insight, and stone cold bona fide information. Look, we do our homework, we do our research, and it's clear cut throughout all the world. Many countries know that America is not a righteous government. They know it's not. They know it's not. They all see how America was built on the blood of slavery, on the blood of black Americans, the foundation of Black Americans, which is one of our current names. They see that. They see how a great many Americans have left America, or some of their brethren from other countries have come to America and then left hating it. They see all these unjust wars America has perpetrated, even now, and hate America. But these little white South Afrikaners, because they couldn't stand the black South Africans taking back their land. We're being oppressed. Well, anyway, without further ado, we're going to get the conversation rolling, okay? And like I said, for anyone who might want to come in, just give me a good 45 minutes to an hour, and then we're going to drop the link and let people come on in so we can converse, okay? So just stand by. Seventh answer, run the video in. Fair use, y'all. Fair use.
To be bringing in white South Africans as refugees, because he loudly claimed in front of South Africa's president and his white cabinet members that white people in South Africa were being genocided. In case you don't remember, here is a short clip of somebody in Trump's administration welcoming the South Africans, the white South Africans, and saying that they have good seeds which will grow in the United States.
Over the years, and I am sure that you will be successful. It's, as you know, a lot of you, I think, are farmers, right? When you have quality seeds, you can put them in foreign soil and they will blossom, they will bloom. And we are excited to welcome you here to our country, where we think you will bloom, and we will hopefully allow you to have fulfilling lives for your children, and then we will bloom and we will benefit alongside you. So thank you very much for coming.
It's really unnerving to hear MAGA men talk about the seeds of growth or whatever he was babbling about. But yeah, anyway, white South Africans were like the only group that Donald Trump wanted to allow to legally come to the United States. And apparently they're all leaving. Thousands of white South Africans repatriate as U.S. safety fears grow. Thousands of white South Africans are returning home after years abroad, reversing a long-standing trend via immigration. Many are reclaiming citizenship through a government portal launched after the repeal of a 1995 law that had stripped citizenship from some expatriates. Part of the migration story is shaped by the United States. The Trump administration launched a program offering refuge to white South Africans, particularly Afrikaners, citing concerns over crime and alleged persecution, claims that South African authorities deny. While some took advantage of the U.S. program, growing worries about mass shootings, immigration enforcement, and political instability in the U.S. have prompted many to reconsider and return home. Improvements in infrastructure, like the near end of daily power outages and enhanced private security, have boosted confidence among those moving back. Analysts say the trend reflects both practical and economic considerations. Remote work has made it easier for professionals to live in South Africa while keeping jobs abroad. Many see South Africa as offering a safer, more affordable, and more stable environment than some countries they have lived in, including the United States. So obviously Donald Trump is not to blame for mass shootings or the healthcare issues of the United States. He's not solely to blame. But the U.S. has some serious systemic issues, and anybody coming here as a refugee from a relatively safe country like South Africa will quickly realize, like, oh, I've made a terrible mistake. Reuters did a whole article on this too, and here's a clip from Reuters talking about people that have lived in the US for decades and who decided, yeah, screw this, I'm moving back to South Africa.
Naomi Sapphire was born in South Africa and lived for 2 decades in the United States. She came back home for a holiday and realized how much she missed this place.
you cannot dictate what makes your heart happy. So you leave and then you come back because ultimately this is home.
Last year, Sapphire left North Carolina for a seaside town in South Africa's Western Cape. Now, she says her 3 children spend more time outdoors, health insurance is affordable, and she prefers the schools. She's among thousands of white South Africans coming back from abroad, despite U.S. President Donald Trump's statements that South Africa's white minority is being persecuted by the country's black majority government.
Terrible things are happening in South Africa.
The Trump administration is ramping up its new refugee program for white South Africans, focusing on Afrikaners, the descendants of Dutch settlers, such as Sapphire and her family. About 3,500 South Africans have entered the United States as refugees since the program started in May 2025. Pretoria says there is no evidence of discrimination or persecution against whites. Many white South Africans and Afrikaners have welcomed Trump's support, but insisted they nevertheless want to remain in their country. And others who left decades ago are now returning. Anton van Heerden is an employment agent who has been trying to help returnees keep their jobs abroad by shifting to remote work. He said inquiries from white South Africans seeking to return had jumped 70% in the past 6 months.
We have also asked these people why they're coming back, and we got a lot of different reasons. The obvious ones would be whether family, friends, the vibe in South Africa, but also things like cost of living and living standards are considered to be very high in South Africa.
For Naomi and
Nah. Like my boy Philip Scott from the African Diaspora Show observed. No, they coming back because that gravy train that America promised them, that economic gravy train that they saw the Democrats giving to all those illegal aliens that Donald Trump and them, they're not trying to give that kind of money up to them. See, they came over here thinking they were going to get paid, laid in the shade, like they getting over there in South Africa. And you heard what the woman said. Well, we want our affordable health care. Yeah, that's right. See, just like the Democrats plan to try to replace Black Foundation of Black Americans with all these illegal immigrants fell through. The Republicans trying to bring in all these white replacements for white Americans fell through too. And now they, hey, they get over here, hey, yo, wait a minute. You know what? How about all of us? You know how when you're on a plane and you look down on a city or wherever you may be traveling, and it looks so beautiful from above, but when you land, it's like, what the hell? You start seeing the city for what it really is. And that's what these South Afrikaners, that's what they're experiencing. Come on, every day, mass shootings here, mass shooting there. All these white people going berserk here in America. All right? They shell shocked. Wait, no free health care? No free schools? No free what? You got me over here thinking you're gonna give me the gravy train and the world, and I get over here and all you want me to do is what? Work for pennies? What are you, stupid? So they getting they hightailing it up out of here. They hightailing it up out of here. But see, this is what the seventh answer and I, when we bring out these facts, listen, white people, when they're not busy attacking black folks, they attack each other like it's going out of style. When you go back and you check out Europe, let's not forget that Europe got rid of its PWT, what they call poor white trash. And they came here to America and took over and invaded. It's what they do. They attack each other like it's going out of style. But they'll have you believe that black folk, with this whole made up black on black crime, that we're the only nation on the earth that are caught up in fratricide and self-genocide. They'll have you believe in that. And some of you out there foolishly believe it. But anyway, my point is, now these white South Africans saying, no, we not settling for this. You must be out your mind. And they getting back over their way to getting is good. See, now we see, oh, they're not being as oppressed as Donald J. Trump, Pete Hegseth, and all the rest of those liars would have you think. They don't want to come over here and pay for health care. What? Pay for schooling. What? Go to school, and then when I graduate, my degree ain't worth nothing. Nah, we ain't playing those games. Wait, what? I can't go to a movie, a Broadway show. I can't go to a museum, a church without the potential of some white American who's mad at the world coming in blasting? No, no, sir. I don't want that. Not at all. But we told you. We told you. And there are other voices out there in black media that told you this was going to happen. See, listen, let me just say to the Republican and Democrats out there who are all in cahoots. No matter how you try to keep black Americans down, no matter how much you try, I'm going to keep saying that. No matter how much you try and replace us and scheme, scam, con, and hustle, it ain't going to work. Now, some of you out there, you may not be God believers, you may not be Bible believers. We're not here to force that on you. But we are unapologetically going to say, from a biblical standpoint, you can't destroy or you can't undermine what you didn't create. You didn't create us, you can't break us, you can't destroy us. See, we here on the Lions Den, we just, unlike other talk shows, we just cut and dry, get straight to the point on what's happening. See, you're playing Republicans. You thought you'd bring these white South Africans to come in and take the place of all the white folks out here who you know are going to be real soon raising all out hell as this war in Iran continues to kick us all in the teeth. And for you white Americans out there, right? Listen, don't get it twisted. We're not advocating nor feeling sorry for you either. Because see, for a long time, we foundational black Americans, you've been knowing that what we've been going through here has been unjust. You know that it was wicked as all hell. But see, you didn't care as long as the foot of Uncle Sam wasn't in your behind. You didn't care. You know that among your white brethren, criminals disguised as police officers, shooting down unarmed black men, women, and children, you know how wrong that was, but you didn't care. Matter of fact, you went to Blue Lives Matter, back to blue. You didn't care. But now, when these white cops, your white brethren, who you know are out of control, are shooting and killing you, now you want to unify. No, no. You stay right where you at. Stay right where you at. Because you were warned, you were told. When it came down to the issues of universal health care, we could have, like I said, I listen to different voices. And it's true. When it came down to universal health care, we could have all been benefiting. White America, you voted against it because you didn't want black folks to have it. When it came down to other issues that we could have been getting our benefit in it, you voted it down because you didn't want us black folks to have it. When it came to the issue of reparations, oh, y'all really came out showing your behinds because you didn't want us to have it. Although you know the bloody history of this country. So when I see videos like this here, you get no sympathy from me, nor any other black folks out here with good sense. You're getting exactly what your hand called for. And from a biblical standpoint, Galatians 6 verse 7, be not deceived, God is not mocked, for whatever a man reap is what he sows. You all now are reaping what you sowed. See, all those vultures, all those eagles, and every other kind of bird of prey that you put out are coming home to roost now. They're coming to see you. And you don't like it. But we told you it was going to be like this. And other voices told you. So these white South Afrikaners making their exodus up out of here. Listen, as we always say here on the conversation continues. When you see white people burning their own American flag and their own constitution, and you're now seeing many white dissenters talking about waging war on their own government, man, you know what you need to be doing. And that is ducking, getting up out the way, and minding your business. So when you see us delineating, because some of y'all have a problem with a lot of black Americans, well, why aren't you coming out to protest? Why aren't you saying anything? You know why? Because we tired. That's why. We tired of talking. We tired of protesting when you know, and then not getting anything, but you're behind the kid. We tired of that. And we're not your mascot. We're not here to be your human shield. That's why. But as the conversation continues, we're talking about now all these white South Afrikaners making their exodus from America. Let's keep the energy going, seventh answer. When you're ready, seventh answer, you can drop the link. You can drop the video when you're ready, okay? And to Mulatto, yeah, we're gonna be dropping the link. We'll drop the link pretty soon. Stand by. But seventh answer, if you can hear me, let the video continue on. Thank you. Or while we're waiting for it to continue this video, like I said, look, we're not going to make what's ugly pretty, okay? And the bottom line is, like I said, a lot of you out there in Lions Den land, especially of our white enclave, you tune in here because you know that we're going to give you the truth and nothing but the truth. And now we're seeing, as an old Bible proverb states, a house divided is going to fall. And so now so many people and so many factions of people now are being shown what America truly is. An imperialist democracy ran by, as we're now seeing with the Jeffrey Epstein revelations, a whole lot of freaks, kooks, crazies, charlatans, and thieves. There's some of you out there, you don't like what we say here, and that's fine. I said at the top of this show, if you don't like the truth, if you like being lied to, if you like living in delusion, illusion, and bubbles, this show isn't for you. For some of my white listeners out there who may say, see, they're racist. No, we're not. No, we are not. See, and under the accordance of the the Federal Communications Commission. What I'm saying is protected by your United States Constitution.
Husband, Danny, they're happy with their choice.
Some of the metrics that we use to decide like whether or not this is our permanent place is education, cost of living, how much we're enjoying the place. And so far, that's ticking all the boxes.
Yeah, the only immigrants that Trump wants are white people from countries that have universal health care and better schools, and they're relatively safer than the United States. But none of those people want to be here for obvious reasons. It's just another hilarious saga in Trump's failures. Like, he genuinely thought that South Africans were going to be like clamoring over each other to get to the United States. Hilarious and stupid.
When I say certain people have the complexion for protection, this is what I mean. These are the white South African refugees that are coming to the United States after Elon Musk lied and spread misinformation on Twitter, saying that these white South Africans were experiencing G-side by the political party in charge. Here's the timeline of events. On July 31st, 2023, Elon Musk tweets, "They are openly pushing for G-side of white people in South Africa." Then he tags the president of South Africa and says, "Why do you say nothing?" So as you can see, Elon Musk has been fueling this fire and spreading this misinformation for fucking years now. Fast forward, Elon Musk spends $300 million getting Donald Trump elected. Donald Trump wins. And the first day in office, January 20th, 2025, when he gets inaugurated, Trump signs an executive order ending the refugee admissions program. An executive order that basically says the United States lacks the ability to absorb large number of migrants, and in particular, refugees, because of the availability of resources for Americans. Essentially declaring that the refugees coming to the United States were competing for resources against Americans. Elon Musk then uses the power of being in Trump's ear all the fucking time and up his ass and turns Trump against South Africa. Even though the claims of white G-side are ruled not real by a South African court, literally 4 days later signs an executive order called Addressing Egregious Actions in the Republic of South Africa, where he cuts off all funding to South Africa. Then he fast tracks white South African citizenship while rejecting all other refugees. Here's what gets better. Here's where I say that they had the complexion for protection, because these white South Africans are descendants of mainly Dutch. They were at the heart of the apartheid government that systematically oppressed non-whites. Yeah, they're the ones who get to come here on an air-conditioned plane, walking through the airport, welcome to the United States, given flags for a fucking photo op. Meanwhile, the Afghan refugees who helped the U.S. military during the U.S. military operations in Afghanistan are in dangerous limbo after the Trump administration ordered a pause on the refugee resettlement program. Meanwhile, this is how Black Haitian immigrants are welcomed to the United States. Meanwhile, other refugee populations that are non-white, this is how they come to the United States. I'm not saying that motherfuckers got to look like their story or look like they struggled, but there's a clear differentiation between people who have valid concerns, valid refugee claims, and seeking asylum versus these motherfuckers that are coming in shorts and look like they're well-fed and look like they have good clothes on their fucking backs. If you really want to deconstruct all the fucking hypocrisy all the fucking way, why is it that the reason that the U.S. refugee resettlement program was scrapped was because the refugees were competing for resources against Americans, yet the literal website that's helping them resettle into the United States is openly saying that these white South Africans are going to receive financial assistance, a one-time federal grant, $1,275 per person, cash assistance, supplemental nutrition assistance program, food assistance, food stamps, housing assistance, medical assistance, work and employment support. And to top it all off, they won't have to even prove that they were being persecuted. The complexion for motherfucking protection. When I say certain people have the complexion for protection,
a tad bit spicy, but I know what he was coming from. But guess what? They weren't, and have not been getting all those goodies and handouts like they thought they would. And also the link has been dropped, so if you want to come in here, have a conversation, have a discussion, not argument, you're more than welcome. Some of you may come in here with differing points of views, but let me just say this to you right now, one more time. When you come up in here to have a discussion, wipe your feet, mind your manners, conduct yourself in an orderly manner, and let's make this conversation enjoyable. Please make sure that what you're saying is relevant and intelligent, because I guarantee you, if you come with the dumminess, If you come in here trying to overtalk, we the host, the seventh answer will kick you up out of here. I want to give you fair warning. We are diplomatic and we're strong in our diplomacy, but our tolerance for disrespect is non-existent. That we're not going to go for. So with all that being said, you want to come on in, the link has been dropped. We welcome you. But yeah, the gentleman was a little spicy in the language area, everything else, and we try to keep it clean, but his passion. But all those provisions that they were promised, they haven't been getting. As you heard a couple of South Africans in the interview, the previous video that we were showing, they haven't been getting those handouts and goodies. That's the problem. Or if they've been getting them, not to the level they thought they were going to be getting it. Come on, man. Most white folks out here, like I said earlier on, who came here to America off the back of slaves, they only came here because they were being given everything. And it's been that way for the longest. Everything they have is not based on no merit. It's based on their complexion. But now, as soon as they go through a few losses and taking a few L's, well, all that white racism that you've been exercising for a long time is now biting you in the behind. And you're getting exactly what you deserve. I'm not going to make it pretty. We're not going to make it pretty. As lions, we hunt, we break down the prey, and crush them. So we're crushing all kinds of bigotry, lies, and subterfuge that has been used to fool a great many people, including misuse of media. MEDIA, the most evil devil in America. That's our job, that's our responsibility, and we do it with brutal efficiency. See, like John Lennon, when you come into the Lions Den, we're going to let it be. B and E. We're going to come with the brutal efficiency on all enemies. Foreign, but especially domestic. See, that's why, although we do these shows and we do them proudly, we know that our algorithm is being interfered with. There's a lot of you out there tampering without. And yeah, we know what you're doing, man. And you do it shamelessly, too. Here in the land of the free, the home of the brave, and freedom of speech. Run the video, seventh answer, as the conversation continues.
All right, let's turn to the story now, because there's a growing number of South Africans returning home from abroad. This comes as some citizens consider leaving under a refugee program that was introduced by the United States administration of Donald Trump following unfounded claims of a so-called white genocide in the country. Government data shows thousands of people are reclaiming their citizenship status, with around 12,000 checks recorded on an online portal launched in November last year. To unpack what may be driving this trend, we're now joined by the CEO of DNA Employer of Record, that's Anton van Heerden, as we get into this one. Anton, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. It might just be greener where you water it.
Absolutely. That's what our employees say. People who return to South Africa have that same.
I'm unable to hear you. I'm gonna drop down and come right back up. I apologize.
We didn't say nothing yet.
Oh, all right, my bad. It was silent.
I know. What it do?
Peace. I hope all is well.
All is well.
And just so there's no dead air, actually I came up because Dr. USA was addressing the opposition that many of the immigrants have towards Black Americans as far as reparations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I remember I came to this same exact platform years ago, and I suggested that not just you all on the panel, but Black Americans report immigrants to ICE and advocate for a ban on immigrants to the U.S. And with all due respect, I'm not in my feelings, but you all essentially disrespected me. You dropped me off the panel. You muted me. But now you're starting to see the adverse effects of not calling ICE on immigrants. Now you're seeing the adverse effects of not advocating to ban immigrants to the U.S. And in closing, it will only get worse. You see, Jasmine Crockett just lost the election, even though she got the majority of the Black American vote. But she lost because the majority of Latinos and other immigrants voted against her. So this is out. I'm not even going to say it's the beginning, but this is the beginning of many Black Americans noticing that we have opened the door for immigrants to work against us and ethnically displace us. And in closing, really, I hope I'm wrong, but Black America may be cooked. Really, you may lose all of your communities to them. You may not be able to win any more elections because they now outnumber you. So, I mean, I would like to hear some suggestions on how Black Americans can preserve their communities that they have opened the door for immigrants to take over.
Well, Mulatto, welcome. And it's been a while, but let me just say this here: we didn't
Peace.
kick you off because of your, we didn't kick you off because of your points of views, because you're welcome to have your opinion. I think that what was happening, and but what we're gonna do now is that was then, this is now. But what I'm gonna say is this here: number one, with a bullet.
No, let's
Let
answer
me,
that question, because once again, this conversation ain't about immigrants taking and stealing. This is really about immigrants that Donald Trump brought over here, which we call refugees, getting the fundings without going through the process. But nobody cried about that. You wasn't crying about that part. But yeah, we're not caring about, the issues that you're bringing to the table right now. And back then we wasn't tripping off of that because that wasn't the topic of the discussion.
Well, it's clear y'all don't care, and that's why your communities are being taken over by immigrants because you don't care. You won't address the elephant in the room,
No,
respectfully.
we're immigrants considered to the people. So what is you
Who is
talking
we?
about? Once again, the black folks that you're talking about.
How Black Americans immigrants in the U.S.?
How black folks immigrants? Why do we have to have the 14th Amendment and the rest of these?
That doesn't make us immigrants.
No.
So I'm just asking, how are Black Americans
See,
immigrants?
we have to deal with this type of stuff.
well, when we go live, it's cool. But let me just say this here. Let me answer the question. The one with a bullet, like we said a few years ago to you. The bottom line is, right, we have our unique set of problems, and we've been tending to them then, and we're doing it now. It's not our responsibility to call ICE on anyone when we have the police beating down and killing us, and we got to deal with that issue. So calling ICE on anyone is not our responsibility, especially since we didn't bring these people in here, and they're not our, they really aren't our problem. They really aren't. It's
And
this white systemic, white systemic racist system that has been plaguing us, and then we, in our ignorance or irresponsibility, have not taken that bull by the horns until now. But our issue is not with the illegal immigrants, okay? And as far as Jasmine Crockett losing, she didn't lose because the white or Hispanic vote didn't come down for her. No, she got sabotaged by her own Democratic Party.
And Dr. USA, well, first off,
Hold on, let me finish. I wish you stick to the topic. You always coming up with your own narrative of what we should be discussing. It's all good when you hit me up and be like, yeah, can we discuss that topic or whatever? But let's stick to the narrative of the story of why we brought it out. You feel me? There was a lie brung upon the president saying that there was genocide happening in South Africa. Okay, now let's stick to the narrative of the story. Stop trying to change anything. At least try to hold on. Let me finish before I have to mute you. I don't want to have to mute you. Okay, the narrative of the story is they're crying now and wants to go home and feel like it's all bad and they're getting treated like crazy crap and all this type of stuff. This is the narrative of the story. It's not us complaining about them coming over here taking anything. That's not part of the discussion. Okay, the discussion of tonight's topic is about the white South Africans who claim to be killed, been, murdered at numbers, genocide, came out here on a free program, which, hey, Donald Trump gonna do whatever he want to do. We're not complaining about who's getting anything. The thing of the matter is, why are you crying now? Why are you crying now? Because it's not what people think. It's not what mulatto think. What's going on with the free housing? What's going on with the free this? And if you listen to the videos that I'm about to present, you're going to understand why they're complaining. It's not what you saying. It's not what you're saying. They're not complaining because, the resource that they're getting. They're not getting the resources. They felt like they came over here and, doing lesser than what they was doing. So all this scam and all this, trying to get them over here to make another country look bad, it's kind of backfiring on somebody. So let's stick to the narrative, at least, of why I brought this out. Don't make a topic and narrative that I'm complaining about them taking resources and all this type of stuff, because that's not what I'm caring about. Once again, when I told you the last time. Go ahead.
And watch how brief my response is. Number one, Dr. USA, with all due respect, we have multiple problems and we must address them all, not just one. I'll ask you a simple question. How will Black Americans preserve Black American communities while turning a blind eye to the immigrants that outnumber you in your own country today?
I don't know when you're getting this thing about we're outnumbered, but let me just get to the point. I just said it a minute ago and I'm going to say it again. With our delineating now and tending to our issues now more and more, this is exactly why we're doing a whole lot better. Because by minding our business and tending to our business now, Brother Mulatto, that's why we're able to now accomplish the things that we're accomplishing, which has all the other nations concerned. This is why now you're seeing these white South Afrikaners crying the blues, because what they thought they were going to get over here, they're not getting anymore. They're finding out that the Republicans and Democrats, both of them, whether right wing, left wing, Kentucky Fried Chicken wing, they now know the whole bird is foul. And basically, factions of America are treating them how they treat us foundational Black Americans, and they don't like it.
Dr. USA, the faucet is on. I'm asking, how will Black Americans stop their house from being flooded if they don't turn the faucet off?
But who's saying that we're not turning the faucet off?
It's more immigrants. The number of immigrants are increasing.
But now with us delineating, because now that we're delineating and we're tending to our own issues more and more, if you're paying attention in these last couple of years, you'll see how we are turning the faucet off.
The number of immigrants is increasing, brother.
Let them talk. Okay. And there got somebody else on the panel, but yeah, don't interrupt them.
Yeah, the number of immigrants is increasing, brother. It's not decreasing. So the faucet is still on.
Now, I don't know where you're getting that from. But what we're going to do is we're going to continue on. We're going to welcome, who am I looking at here?
I got it from the census.
We got Sadiq Ra join the panel.
What's up, brother? What's up, family?
Mulatto. You on Facebook?
No, I'm not on Facebook.
You have an email? Drop your email so I can get you on so you can bring out some of these topics that you want to talk about.
All right, thank you.
Just send me a title and hit me. Put your email in the title, and then I can hook you up with it. Anytime.
And Sadiq Rod, welcome. And what's on your mind, my brother?
What's going on, brother? What's going on, family? I just listen to you guys, man. Just listening, taking it in. What's up, Karima? How you been?
I've been good. How about yourself?
Pretty good, pretty good. Yeah,
That's what's up.
yeah. My fam is out of the southern United States, dating back as a descendant of slavery on both sides. I don't come from an immigrant background, so I have to definitely jump on Doc's side in this regard as echoing his sentiment in terms of the Black Renaissance, FBA Renaissance that we're experiencing right now. We are essentially cleaning house. Oh my God, is that an understatement? Looks like the federal government has jumped on board and began to also delineate using some of our talking points, FBA talking points that we've seen used through the Sinners movie, the maker of the Sinners movie, he's using the talking points. A lot of some universities are beginning to entertain using that talking point as it pertains to us applying census status, as it's coming up soon too. Moreover, this is a good thing. It's been said that the FBA movement is divisive, it's xenophobic, it's not needed to redefine, blah blah blah. I have to reiterate the importance that anyone that shares a unique history, such as the FBA guys, must indicate and highlight the time is now. It's way overdue, some would agree. And so now we're beginning to make traction in many ways. Our crime rates are now dropping as it pertains to we not being dumped on by the other members of the Black members of the diaspora. We're seeing this in Minnesota and a few other places, and also New York, and also out of immigrant class. It's been cleaned up in South LA and different parts of the South, Detroit and the Michigan area where I'm from, which we're seeing it here locally as well. And so it's about time. We've been dumped on long enough. We're not saying everyone is immigrant. The Black immigrants are the enemy inherently. We just say those who come over to undermine us. Some have coined those particular foreigners as tethers. A tether, for those who are not aware, is just simply a term used to basically identify a foreign traitor, a racial traitor. He shares the melanin and the phenotype in many ways. So no one will really disagree with that. But what we have an issue with was tethering and to undermine us is the mentality of these guys, not all Black immigrants. For those who at this point who would insinuate and say that's the case, as if we're like hating the foreigners, would be pretty much at this point arguing in bad faith, in my opinion. Just take it, throw it away, whatever. Just expressing how I see it from my perspective, right? I think perspective is really makes or breaks a lot of us, and it's really we can stand on our own perspective because it's based on what we live through and our experiences, which is something that somebody can't take away at the end of the day. So yeah, I'm not to go to rehash all of this stuff, but I'm just listening in, and I do share sentiments. So we're starting to see some gain. We're making some gains in reparations. We could argue about the amounts and the circumstances and the small amount of people they're awarding it to and things that and they're considering awarding it to. But at least we're moving the needle. We're moving the damn needle. So
But now let me
I'll just
ask
stop
you,
there for now.
but that's well said and well observed. But let me ask you a question though.
What's
This
that?
issue involving how you're seeing now all these white South Afrikaners
Right.
leaving in mass exodus. What's
Right.
your take on that? What's your spin on that?
So it's family, so much to get in, so many moving parts in that. I'm gonna try to just keep it brief. Over the last couple of years or so, give or take, we've been seeing a news reports coming out of South Africa showing a white genocide and basically violence against these guys, the Afrikaner, taking place against the white Afrikaner or the white South Africans, pretty much. And so, some can, we can debate like was it true of reports or give or take, whatever. That's how it's aired to the world. So, with that being said, they have a unique history, the Afrikaner in South Africa, as being particularly racist. a particularly very aggressive form of racism under apartheid. Not so much as what we've seen recently in the domestic U.S. side of things, but at any rate, given that some would argue the Trump MAGA campaign is looking to make this quote country great again, they're looking to become a little more racially vicious, given that their numbers are falling right now throughout the white population throughout the Western world. I'm trying to focus on the Western United States, just on the domestic side in the states. So, with that being said, Trump ideally makes sense. I don't know how practical it is, but it makes sense to want to import. If you want to make this country great again from a Jim Crow 2.0 standpoint, you definitely want to. We've seen white America import foreign whites repeatedly to bolster their numbers for a variety of reasons. But to help bring in more racist, we also see them bringing in people from the Ukraine and other white areas that has a questionable racist background for where they're coming from, their respective white origins, what we call heritage whites. And so this Afrikaner, he has a very vicious racist background where they come from over there in South Africa. So yeah, he would like to bring that over here. I personally think Trump's a racist at the end of the day. He does some things that's decent, some could support. But regarding these white racists from South Africa importing these over in the guys from Ukraine or whatever, I think it's helped bolster the racists, their fleeting numbers. It helps bolster their numbers. Now, how many of these guys are coming over here? We've seen the reports where it's only like maybe 10 or 15 Afrikaners at the at the airport, right? That's not going to really bolster anything, whatever. But it's his intent to open the door and to also piggyback that with I think this expensive visa campaign, like you pay $1 million for 2-3 million for a visa, fast track visa, blah blah blah, to help get other well-to-do, like-minded whites from wherever they may come from, including South Africa, to come over here and help lock down the U.S. and make this mofo great again, at least as they see it. I'll just say this one last point. We notice that given that the white world population and their way of life, as we know it, as they knew it, is basically in degradation. It's in their decline. They won't argue that. Stateside, I'm just focusing stateside. It's throughout the Western world, right? But in stateside especially. What we're seeing, why Trump would probably and other like-minded individuals would have share the perspective of the white Afrikaners, but given their vicious races over there in South Africa, the Afrikaner was fairly successful during the 70s and 80s on the Botha, because recall that the South Africans, the white South Africans ran a very vicious campaign because they were such a small minority, right? So notice that here in the States, the whites are becoming what? A very small minority. So they're trying. Notice how vicious the white Americans have become. This is akin to the
Yeah.
white side. That's not by happenstance. I won't go into. There's a lot of shit to get into, but I'll just stop there. It's just so they're looking to become more vicious here as well. As the white so-called majority shrinks more and more, they're going to become more militaristic. The police force and ICE, we're here to defund the police, and then you have to defund it. Crime get worse. They just to refund them 10 times. Now they become militarized, like until what we've seen in apartheid South Africa. Now we're defunding ICE. It'll become militarized as well. 3-4 times funding will be increased in the future. Make it again militarizing the ICE. And so this is all not by happenstance. They're gonna run this bitch like South Africa, apartheid South Africa, in the very near future. Mark my words. I'll just stop there, guys.
All right. Well, thank you for your insight and your input. As the conversation continues, and I am Nana. Hello. Hello, dear. Long time no see. I hope all is well, and thank you for coming through. Hello to you too. I'm always mentioning you. We're always mentioning you, in our opening monologue. But yeah, we are on fire tonight. Okay. What is she on? Is she going? If you want to come in and converse and let us know how you've been, please do that.
Peace.
All
Peace,
right?
Manna.
Yeah, but Sadiq,
I agree with him. I agree totally with him of what he just said. And I've been saying that too. Like, I've been pushing the line of saying exactly that, but they don't see that.
Right. Most don't see we're gonna have to become, well, the white America, they're gonna have to become more vicious as these numbers drop. What would you do if you're in that position? You would basically burrow in as you acquire more of a trap rat type mentality. See, and it's so much to say, and so Yeah, just like apartheid, there was a very small. What made that so a nasty form of racism in South Africa is that it was such a small cancerous cell that ran the whole. I mean, you talking about millions? They were outnumbered by millions and shit. So they had to naturally be very vicious, just to put the fear, so-called fear of God in these people, and so they could run it as they could, and so forth. So we kind of notice given the trends we're seeing here stateside, look like we're kind of trending in the same direction. I guess time will tell, in my opinion. Take it, throw it away, guys. It's just my opinion, just my
No, no,
perspective.
no. But you see, listen. The thing is, we welcome opinions and we welcome relevant and intelligent opinions, which you
Thanks.
are articulating and everything else. So, we respect your outlook and your opinion. Otherwise
Thanks,
we
Doc.
wouldn't ask. We
Thank
wouldn't
you.
ask for it.
And
Okay.
likewise, likewise,
All
likewise.
right. But let me just say this here. Our outlook on this, though, is this here. We are laughing at these people because you know why? Here it is, as you said. America has been just as vicious as the South African government. There's no getting around it. Even more vicious, in
Right,
my opinion.
right,
But the bottom line is, most white folks, whether it be from South Africa, Ireland, Italian, Italy, wherever, they only come here and gravitate here looking for handouts while
right,
telling us that we're looking for handouts. Everything they have,
right,
as the late Reverend Martin Luther King observed,
right,
everything they have from land to agriculture to their living spaces was all given to them.
right,
So now when now, as they always do, attack and beat up on each other, now with all this mass exodus, now they're seeing just how America is giving it up even to its own white citizenry. So our thing is, what we're doing here tonight on this presentation is just showing and proving to anyone out there, because there are a lot of people who tend to oppose us. They
right,
think we're always talking about race and we overemphasize race. But we can't overemphasize something that every day is being thrown in our faces.
right.
So now when we see these people now making their exodus, what we're coming back to do is remind people that we told a great many listeners way back when that this was going to happen, and now it's happening.
But
Go ahead, Jennifer.
they definitely thought they was gonna come over here and do better. See, these are the kind of like the low income, like we already have middle class trailer park trash people, like literally. So they're not even caring about their own people here. So when they came out here and realized that it's violence, that
Right.
real violence, okay, and they're living in projects, you know what I mean? Uh Low budget projects, because I know they spoke on, the housing situation, saying that there was roaches and there's violence. But this is the thing, just like the Mexicans got deported back to Mexico and they was not accepted,
Right,
these Europeans are not accepting these people, you know what I
right,
mean, regardless of
right.
the fact. So they will be in the ghetto somewhere where it's, you know what I mean, safe for
Right.
them to be without
Yeah,
being, messed with.
yeah. Mexicans, white South Afrikaners, and others. The Venezuelans that they brought up here. They're the white so-called white supremacist minded of the Latin world. I guess the most
Correct.
premier of that. Some would argue there's others. Mexico also. These guys are also politically tend to agree as white. Well, identify as white. Blah blah blah. Point is that um is that they all Chinese. They bring the Asians over. They tend to identify politically as white. Blah blah. Okay, the thing here is that they have to break these motherfuckers in. Okay, they're not going to let you into the ranks of white
Sadiq.
supremacy overnight. You
Sadiq.
have to be. What's that?
Okay, be careful. We don't want to. We
We'll
don't want to
go.
try to use some colorful
Okay,
language.
sorry about that, guys. So they have to break these guys in to let them know that we need you, and you will be because let into the ranks of white supremacy. We've seen this happen in history with the Irish and the Italians, back in the 20s, 30s, and earlier, give or take. And so here we are with the Asians, the Mexicans, and the Venezuelans, and Afrikaners and so forth. And so there's some speculate, there's no hard line with this stuff, but some speculate a year or two, give or take, they'll torture them, and meaning that, which we see it all the time, they torture them socially. They won't let them into certain schools. You hear the Asians not starting to complain about them, not they
Right.
discriminate against. You hear about the Mexicans, talking about they da da da. You heard about the Asians. You hear, they told me, no, which is the Afrikaners, they beefing, like you just said, they beefing with the domestic white guy. They don't want to, come over here and give rank and give space away to foreign white, blah blah blah. It's, many ways we can show and prove that. And so, but ultimately they will let all these guys identify because they need the numbers. The American white guy need the number. He's very desperate to bolster his numbers. A lot of the numbers that he have on paper now, someone argue for the last 20 years, are really just foreigners. It's not that many true, how can you say, English or British heritage whites, I think they call them that, over here, for as one would think. A lot of them are like just mainly Asians. A lot of them is just mainly Ukraine, Russians, and just especially Asians. A lot of the Indians and so forth. A lot of them, since they identify Mexicans. There you go. Once you put all of them together, hell, even some East Africans. Once you bring them, when they come over there, they typically identify as white, political, and ID on their IDs or whatever. Once you add all them together, then the white numbers appear semi-healthy or at least stabilized to some degree when it's like artificial, whatever. I think it's very interesting. Yeah, the whole dynamic is interesting to me, how that plays out.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big it's gonna be a conference of interest because
Right.
if you know what I mean, they coming over here trying to get resources, and he got these laws set in place for like pretty immigrants, because they're gonna still be considered like immigrants. So it's gonna be things that's gonna be challenging for them to get, even if they still came up here over on that. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
he put these laws set in place for discrimination. Even though they're going to go and probably get probably some assistance, but it's going to be limited because they have a certain restriction towards immigrants in the government system. So it's going to be like a conflict of interest going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, they're gonna have to iron this all out. I can go into some other areas to give the end game where all this is going, including the crime, the immigration status, the illegals, and the big fallout that's going on with this cleaning it with this ICE fiat. They're going somewhere with this. The IRS is being dissolved and virtually dissolved, at least 50% or so. And the Department of Education is being dissolved. All of this stuff it all means something. But I say that for another day. But with the in terms of them coming over here freeloading and so forth, yeah, we played a big part of developing help modifying the Constitution back in the '60s. Under my man, I forget his name, is in my notes. A black guy, FBA guy, who, and among others, who helped, and King as well, MLK, under the Dreamers in the program or whatever. And so these guys come over taking advantage of the Dreamers program and so forth, and other similar programs that help cater to immigrants. You've helped more recently, even I think it was just a program announced here the other day, catering to homeless Asians. Was it LA or was it some city in California just appropriated was
Yes,
it $1 million,
the mayor
$2 for
of
like homeless
you,
Asians? Like, are you
you're
serious?
talking about you're talking about Mayor Karen Bass, who just
Yeah,
gave
what the
a
hell?
$1 million grant to the Asian community out there in LA for
Right.
homelessness. But yet here it is, they ignore the 12 million that should be given to Black Americans in that area, okay, for the longest, who've been battling homeless. But it's always the buffer groups.
Right.
I know exactly. You're talking about Karen Bass.
Yes. Yes. Some people don't know the structure of some of these conversations in terms of buffer, tether, immigrant, FBA, and all this. And so versus Pan African, I'll just summarize briefly the buffer for those who are listening. The buffer is not necessarily your black immigrant. It's more your non-black immigrant, your Latino, your Mexican, your Asian, and your Indian and other non-white members of that group, whatever. They're brought in and treated somewhat like us initially, right? And you know. And so eventually, after over the course of maybe a few years, there's an orientation process that white America that they project onto the non-white or the white immigrant that would come over here, whether illegal or illegal. They actually subject them to like harsh treatment to get them to let them know who's the true white person that's gonna run this mofo, right? And so that's called a second class individual underneath white supremacy, other the white quote per se, or the English British white, or I just leave out the
And
English
you know
British white,
what? To
American white.
be
And so they don't mind being a second class citizen. That but as long as they're over us. That second class citizen is your buffer class. I'll just stop there.
true, but here's what's happening though.
What's that?
That what these white South Afrikaners are finding out. That
Right.
here it is, you got this so-called elite class of whites trying to run them and control them, and that's not what they signed up for.
Right.
So they're saying, look, we're not gonna be like these white Americans here and let you run over us. Okay, you told us to come here based upon these promises and pretenses. And if you're going back on your word, we out. And
Right.
that's what's happening. See, they're not gonna be subjected to second class citizenship. They're not gonna be subjected to having to pay for their Medicaid and their medical care when they were
Right.
getting it free in South Africa, along with other freebies.
Right.
So
Yeah.
your observation is spot on. And now all the other white adjacent immigrants are finding out just how America truly gives it up too. Because now with ICE and all these other attacks on them, because they as long as, like you said, as long as they were coming to be here over us, it was all gravy.
Right.
But now they're finding out just how bigoted these white Americans are. They don't like them either.
No.
And now they're crying the blues. So this is so tonight, as we talk about this segment, and in this particular segment, we're making this observation and showing some of our detractors who've been here listening to us that we weren't making this up. And now when you come in with your point of view, okay, there's some things I disagree with, but for the most part, you're cooking with gas and bringing heat.
Likewise, guys. Likewise.
And that only shows for all y'all out there listening, as you can see, when you're relevant and intelligent and you bring it here on the Lions Den, this is what we do. And now you're hearing different voices, diverse voices and other opinions showing you that we're not making this up and we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I even hear a lot of the scrutinists. Some people are scrutinizing the qualifications for reparations for the FBAs or what classifies the FBA in itself. Like, and you hear people say a lot of different things like, why am I, is it depend where you live or I'm from Nigeria and I moved here. I mean, I've suffered for racism since I've been here, and I dealt with some shit over there. I've dealt with some things over in Nigeria. I deal with things here as well. I mean, I qualify? Answer is like no. You know what I'm saying? Your history is not the same. Or I think you guys are sometimes you're xenophobic. Well, you don't have the experience we have here on the land here, right? You don't have it etched in your DNA. You don't have the spirit we have. You're from a different lineage, right? And so naturally, you wouldn't necessarily, unless you're just cool or you down for the team, you're a rider like that, which would make a person like that non-tethered. But they wouldn't necessarily qualify. They have to. We tell people, particularly out of the Caribbeans and so forth, that they have to pursue the government that basically through CARICOM, probably through that's their organizing body down there. They'll have to go through CARICOM, whatever, to go after the government and get their reparations, rectify their wrongs from the respective government.
Okay.
We're dealing with the U.S. government. They can follow our lead. We can lay the template because ain't nobody's really doing anything like this globally in the Black diaspora. Follow our lead. Let us lay the template. Put this together, right? And we're not them trying to jump on us and trying to jump in and pot at all. Don't do that because your afflictions come from different governments. Okay, typically, usually, we're dealing with the slavery aspect of legacy here in the States. So we're going to go after the government that's here and still intact here in the States from the FBA perspective. And so we're getting this together. And so we're gonna get this right on the and we're gonna get
Yes, we
paid.
are.
Oh yeah, we're gonna
Yes,
get
we are.
paid. And the Afrikaner getting treated, whatever. So the Afrikaner, I've been saying this from day one. Why would the Afrikaner want to come here?
Exactly.
Afrikaner, they got the best, they got first world USA treatment back in South Africa, going back since the 70s, give or take. See, that's why notice how we notice a lot of them didn't come over exactly because of that. They got the top free of everything. They're considered the so-called British and the English guy here, the status they have here. They have that, the Afrikaner have that back in South Africa. See. So it makes sense why they was, man. So most of them stayed, right? For one, and then two, the
Mm.
few that did come, they even going back, right?
Yes. Now, Brother Sadiq, here what I want to
Yo,
do. Seventh answer, I want to have this video continue,
okay.
and we're going to close this segment out, but I want to just have it continue. But thank you for your insight. And we're just going to sit back for a minute, let all that marinate, okay, as the conversation continues. Let the video run out, seventh answer, please.
Sentiment. So they say that, things are better here for many reasons. Cost of living standards are better. And then all the obvious stuff, family and friends, weather, and so forth. So that's definitely the case.
I mean, I thought that the perception of South Africa's crime levels would have been a huge deterrent. I suppose weighing that up against the situation in other countries may be far worse or far more difficult to deal with.
Absolutely. I think things have changed in Europe significantly, Europe and the UK, over the last couple of years. So they have different safety concerns in terms of the ongoing war. And I would not be surprised if we see a surge in our, South Africans coming home because of those safety concerns.
What happens exactly when one thinks about the professionals who maybe, one, have gotten a chance to work more remotely, meaning that they don't necessarily need to stay in foreign nations and foreign nationals as well? Or is it just a case of broader demographic, profiles emerging now where people realize that their workload and where they got things best was perhaps back home? Or is it just a professional change that might be happening here? What are the most inquiries you're getting?
We see people from all walks of life and all professions returning, but it is more on the professional side. So really, any person who can work remotely can return to South Africa and continue working for their employer in Europe or the UK or the US. So it really depends on the type of job. And as I said previously, the COVID pandemic opened businesses' eyes globally to the fact that they can employ the best people anywhere in the world. People don't have to be at the office. So if your job lends itself to remote working, no matter what type of job that is, then you're the ideal candidate to return home to South Africa and continue working for your employer abroad.
Yeah, very interesting one actually overall there. What happens to the United States though? What kind of requests and question marks have you seen from all those that might be returning out of the United States? Is that purely based off of those that perhaps left at the end of last year, or is there something else here?
So I think those are two distinctly different groups of people. Some South Africans have left for the US for good reasons, and some are returning. So they, and unfortunately, I think the people leaving, there's more reports on that than people returning from the US. So we find a lot of people, for the same reasons as in Europe, returning from the US and wanting to continue working for their employers in the US. It is more difficult because of the time zone differences. So people returning to South Africa but continuing working for their US employers, often have to work midday till late evening if their employers are based on the East Coast. So it is a bit more difficult, but we definitely find that.
How many returnees are perhaps citing lower living costs in South Africa than abroad? One finds that the adjustment to that is often one that people take for granted.
Absolutely. So the cost of living in South Africa is significantly lower, which means your standard of living is higher if you continue earning the same euro or dollar-based salary. So, you know, there's a massive difference. So the rand, in real terms, the rand is definitely undervalued, and people coming back earning the same salaries is definitely much, much better off.
Yeah, and I mean, do you see a whole host of people now making the influx? Is this like a reverse brain drain, should I say then, that we've had in the inverse, whether it be countries like Australia, which have taken on quite a few, the United Kingdom, as you made note of, took on quite a few, the US now being a key part of that too. Do you think that this is about to ramp up, or will it remain pretty much the same over the next coming year or so?
So we saw a 70% increase in people returning to South Africa last year, and that trend is continuing. And with the war in Europe, the Middle East, I would not be surprised if this trend increases. So it is definitely a reverse of the brain drain in terms of people coming back home. They might still be working for their foreign employers, but the fact is they're home, they have skills, and long-term, they will probably contribute to our employer base locally as well. Yeah,
and I think that's why we're trying to quantify what it is that brings people back from where they were, and it varies, and maybe this is another cycle. Do you think this is cycle related? Have we gone through similar situations in the past, or is this purely dependent on what is going on in the world and then going on in South Africa?
I don't know if it's a cycle. If it is, it's a long cycle. So I don't see this trend stopping, except if there's something really dramatic happening in South Africa, because the reasons remain. These are permanent reasons. So the weather, your family, your friends, those things don't change. So in terms of the economic and political turmoil in Europe, I suppose if that stabilizes, then we could see a reduction in people coming back. I can't comment on that.
Can I come in? See, translation, what he's saying is this here. With all the cuts and slashes that this American government is now practicing, okay? Here it is, as of today, this evening in my neck of the wood, March 15, $11.5 billion has been spent on this continuing disaster in Iran. So with all the cuts in Medicare, Medicaid, with all the cuts in the school budgets that are transpiring throughout the 50 states, and with all the budget cuts and EBT and all the other goodies that these South Africans thought they were going to be enjoying, right along with the poor whites here in America, they're not liking being treated like a second-class citizen, and they definitely not feeling the fact that you have the so-called white elite and echelon ripping them off. See, they made a promise, so they're finding out, just like black folks here, white American rich men speak with forked tongues, but the difference between them and us, they quick to make an exodus. They're not gonna stick around. They're not gonna sing. They're not gonna dance. They're not gonna hope. They're not gonna dream. They gonna get it. They getting up out of here. All right. And as the gentleman said, it's only going to get worse as this war in both European and in Iran continues to kick off. So we're going to continue on as the conversation continues, and we're going to get back to our commentary. But we want to make sure that we run all the video evidence first, and then we converse. So with that being said, seventh answer, let's take it away.
To the United States of America. A lot of you, I think, are farmers, right? When you have quality seeds You can put them in foreign soil and they will blossom, they will bloom.
You see all that pretty language? You will blossom, you will grow. Come on, man. And now they get over here and they find out they out there, their seeds been put in barren land and they're not gonna grow. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Thanks,
What's your
bro.
take on that? And Sadiq, what's your take on that, brother?
I'm not buying. I'm thinking the guy who's welcoming these disciple Afrikaner to help them. It's not really. It's so few of them coming. That I think the representative who's welcoming them has been charged with coming up with a way to make them feel important, to make them feel to offset their second class feeling that because even that they remember that over there in South Africa they're the first class, they're the top tier, they're like the Brahma class over there in India, they would be the South African equivalent, and so they don't feel like they're really bringing true value to the American social society, social structure. And so to say these guys got vital seeds and fertile seeds is funny, is real funny to me. They don't, obviously it's not working. He's trying, he said, you guys, well, I mean, besides being white and having a perfect background, way you have some, we got that vicious Afrikaner history that we could definitely use over here under the Trump administration, da da da. And we want it definitely matches the energy and the flavor we want to instill the fear of these guys over here too, the black guys over here too. Like you guys had a history over there that set the world standard, one of the key, most lethal forms of white supremacy the world has ever. We want that, but I mean, I know you guys have to be acclimated to second class, but don't get turned off by that. I mean, you guys are farmers. I mean, your seeds. I mean, your seeds are so they can't really echo the sentiment about the history because it's so controversial. So they're not gonna say that shit. They probably say that behind the scenes. They talk about behind the scenes, but on the front, I call it the front and back. On the front side, your seeds, man. Man, you grow those seeds over there, and we need it here. And to me, it's so man, brother Doc Kareem, it comes
Dude,
off as so
bro,
performative to me.
you so good. Hold on, you so good at that. You got me ready to drop kick. You got that down pat, man.
I mean, I don't know, man. It just seems so performative to me. I don't know, man. But yeah. So I think this performative. I think they're trying to bring over the farmer class. I guess but they said most of the people that's coming over, according to the dude on the video, is that most of your professional guys /
But you know
corporate
what?
guys.
But Sadiq, you know what?
What's
You're
that?
on to something. Let me tell you something. You are on to something. They are trying to bring the farming class. Why? Because the intent is to try to replace all the white farmers here in America who've been losing their farm land, losing all their land and everything else and they're complaining and they're upset about all that $13 billion that Donald Trump promised them. He had promised them $13 billion, I think it was, and they haven't been seeing it. And so like the black farmers, a lot of white farmers are losing their lands and everything else. So the plan was to bring in their white replacements. But again, now that the South Afrikaners are getting here and they're seeing how white people, their fellow white folks are treated here in America, we gone. We don't want no part of that. We're not going to be second class. Hold on, we're not going to be second class to you. And here y'all are a bunch of pedophiles and rapists and thieves. Basically, they're saying this here. We're not going to be treated like black people. We don't want that. And we ain't having it. So you're right. You're quite right. But let me just say, let me take a time out.
Let me say this, okay? Because
come on, there's seventh answer. Go ahead.
Okay, so when the leader, what's his name, Picasso, whatever his name is, start talking about they have to give up the land that they stole, then that's when there's genocide going on, because he did make a statement saying that the white farmers gonna have to give up the land that they stole from the black farmers, like because they was out there taking things. So he made an announcement, and then all of a sudden this big old genocide started coming. This happened in last year around, what was it, around June or July or whatever, when they was basically complaining. So he used that to his ability. But remember that the farmers was complaining because of this tariff. Yeah, it was complaining about the crop and they have to spend that. So it was basically like a replacement a little bit. But half of these are not farmers. They just
Right.
came in with the program.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's just, I think it's a desperate attempt to help stabilize their whole campaign here, the far right's campaign. Trump's part constituency. I think he's trying. It's a desperate attempt. I would say, in many regards, to help stabilize their way of life as it once were. When I talk to whites in person about this stuff, I tell them, I say, look, you can't live backwards. You can't go back and live back in the day, or the Jim Crow day. You can't go back. I said, dude, you didn't learn nothing. As you didn't learn, so you repeating the past. That's how it works. I said, that's how that work, right? As you didn't learn anything, you can't turn the clock backwards. Ignorant, so and so. We had these conversations in person. I have conversations with whites typically about a lot of things we talk about in these back chats and on some of these platforms. I actually talked to them in person about that, sitting down at eating lunch at Whole Foods and at some of the stores here in Michigan have just outdoor seating areas where you can sit and have conversations, particularly during the summer and fall and summer months of the year. And spring and so forth, and like right now. And so I'll sit and talk to these guys about that kind of stuff. And I tell them, I say, you can't go backwards in this in this mofo, right? I said, you didn't learn. I said, clearly you didn't learn anything. I said, so you're trying to go backwards, right? And they'll just get quiet and they don't really disagree. They just don't say anything. They just feel like kind of embarrassed.
Well, of course they're embarrassed because see, they never thought in a million years that they would be in the position that they are in now. See, they got so used to seeing us being in that position alone, they didn't think that their government, their fellow white brethren, their rich, greedy white brethren and corporate barons would turn on them. But now they're finding out
Facts.
that all they are is PWT, the poor white trash. And so, yeah, again, that's why it's being destabilized, and the stability that you said they were trying to get, it's not going to work. Look, nothing, as we all know, nothing developed in evil, nothing conceived and contrived in evil works. All right? No matter how much you gift wrap a pile of genetic trash, of dookie poo, it's still gonna be dookie poo. It's still gonna stink.
And watch, y'all gonna hear from the poster boy, the one that they use, his feelings, and he wants to go back. So
who's that?
Who's that?
The poster boy, the one they use. Okay, I'm about to play him.
Who's Stephen Miller?
No, the refugee, the white South African.
Oh.
Yeah, the one that they was using, the poster boy.
Okay. Gotcha. But my point is, look, but like I said, all we're seeing out there in Lions Den land is the fall of not only America, but the European rulership on this earth, period.
Facts.
See, and this is something we cannot be afraid to talk about, because there are a lot of white people out here who see the handwriting on the wall.
Right.
And they're reaping what they sow. But before we go any further, let me just say hello to all my...
Let me finish these videos out real quick. I didn't even get the chance to play it because it was messing up. But I do want to play up until their point, because it's very important to get their, statement.
Okay, Seventh Answer, let's go to work. Thank you.
Will bloom, and we are excited.
Listen to me. There is no such thing.
Wait, hold on. They keep on switching videos. Hold on.
Well, while we're waiting for you to bring the video back up, would it be okay if I say hello to some of our conversationalists in the panel real quick? Real quick, I'm going to say, Big Mississippi, welcome. Miss Tay, hello. Hello, how are you? Miss Tawana Johnson, welcome. And like I said, Big Mississippi, I see y'all. You're right, Big Mississippi. It's about to get ugly. It's way ugly. It's been ugly. I agree with you on that. Boy, history in the making. I'm actually agreeing with Big Tyrone. Say what? You quite right. It is ugly. Very ugly. Okay? And you know what, I am, man, you're right. Know who you are and approach this world with no fear. And yeah, Miss Tay, I agree. This war is getting crazy, and it is crazy. All right? And yeah, they're not keeping their word as usual. So here we go with the video, and the conversation continues. Let's go, Seventh Dancer.
My car behind, my dogs behind, my mother behind.
There are voices out there, including the South African president, who has called you cowards.
Yeah.
You've got other Afrikaners who are saying that you're not refugees, you're opportunists, that you've abandoned the country. What would you say to those people?
I had to leave a 5-bedroom house, which I will lose now because I'm not going to pay for it. My car behind, my dogs behind, my mother behind. I didn't come here for fun. But my children are safe. If you're white, you're wrong in South Africa. You're a land thief, you are a racist. I had nothing to do with apartheid. Nothing, nothing, nothing.
What was it like when you were greeted by the Trump administration?
It was overwhelming. I didn't expect that because I thought we're going to be in a shuttle bus, taken somewhere, and we must start working. All of us that is there, we know we're going to start here from the bottom because we are the new people here. We're going to start from the bottom.
Reports are emerging that a number of Afrikaner South Africans who were fast-tracked into the United States under a controversial resettlement policy are facing significant challenges as they try to settle. Since early 2025, the US implemented a program that prioritized white South Africans, particularly Afrikaners, for refugee status. The policy was framed by officials as a response to alleged racial discrimination in South Africa. Over 1,600 Afrikaners have been resettled in the US through this expedited initiative, which moved much faster than standard refugee processes. While typical refugee admissions can take months or even years, these cases were processed quickly, even as overall refugee quotas were reduced. However, the reality on the ground has proven difficult for many arrivals. Several report being placed in temporary motels in high-crime neighborhoods or in apartments with maintenance issues such as mold. With limited financial support, reportedly around $2,000 per person, most are struggling to cover rent, food, transportation, and basic living expenses. Refugee advocates and experts say this situation highlights weaknesses in U.S. resettlement infrastructure. While the program focused on a specific demographic, other groups fleeing war, famine, and displacement continue to face strict barriers to entry. Critics argue that prioritizing one community over others raises questions about fairness and effectiveness. Adding fuel to the debate, South Africans on social media have reacted strongly. Many are saying no backsies, arguing that those who moved based on claims of a so-called white genocide should stay abroad with their savior Trump. Some are even calling for their South African citizenship to be revoked, citing frustration over the misleading narrative that allegedly motivated the departures. Although the program was intended as humanitarian relief, the difficulties faced by the resettled Afrikaners show that rapid entry does not guarantee a stable transition. Many are now trying to navigate employment, housing, and community integration with limited support, underscoring the broader challenges of resettling refugees in a new country. Reports are emerging that a number of
I personally don't believe South Africa should take back any of the white Afrikaners that left South Africa due to the genocide of the white farmers that just simply didn't exist.
A growing number of South Africans returning home from abroad. This comes as some citizens consider leaving under a refugee program that was introduced by the United States administration of Donald Trump following unfounded claims of a so-called white genocide in the country.
We talked briefly about South Africans who arrived to America as refugees. They had horrible living conditions, complaining about only getting $2,000 a month, and that wasn't enough to live, and that America is really violent. More than 12,000 South Africans have checked their citizenship status on a portal that was launched. That represents a fraction of the total South Africans abroad. But official statistics have showed that over 15,000 South Africans have repatriated to South Africa in the last 2 years. Over 1,000 have reclaimed their citizenship, and the rest in America are complaining about the cost of living, saying that the money they're receiving from the government is not adequate, that it's too expensive, they can't keep it with their bills, and they're not receiving preferential treatment that they thought they would receive under Donald Trump.
Refugees is that they're spending weeks in motels in unsafe areas. They're being offered housing that is full of mold, apartments that are full of mold in expensive areas. So each refugee is allotted $2,000, and all of that has been going to rent. So they're really left with nothing. And these agencies are supposed to help them apply to jobs, obtain temporary benefits such as SNAP and Medicaid. They don't have transportation. They don't have the right clothing.
So this is why they say racism is expensive. You left your country where your great-great-great-grandparents settled, and due to your fear of being a minority in a country that you shouldn't be in, you came to America thinking you were going to get preferential treatment, and that America was a white country. You found out America's not a white country. You also found out that you came here and they treated you like a refugee, and they made you a poor white person, meaning you were forgotten about and you got no benefits besides the free $2,000 that you get that I don't receive. And now you're going back to South Africa because you realize that your life there is better than your life here. I don't think you guys should be taking these people back, South Africa. That's just my opinion. Hey, I'm not South African. What do I know? All I know is that racism is expensive. And when you come to a country as a racist and you go back to a country as a racist, you're still a racist.
Het sal nie daar wees. Hy is mos mal.
Staan jy maar so.
Ja, wat? Maar weet jy wat hy doen?
Hey, voete.
Het sal nie daar wees. Hy is mos mal.
Staan jy maar so.
I see everybody talking about Trump bringing in the refugees from South Africa. And I literally made a video about this months ago because I already know what's really happening there. So I'm going to try to explain why Trump is bringing them back, although he's deporting other people out. So check it. Y'all remember all the fraud Doe's been recovering, right? Specifically from the DEI. What happened was the demon rats literally paid, quote unquote, white Americans to move down to South Africa. Because just in case y'all haven't realized, South Africa has been colonized. And I always bring it up because if you just look at the presidents by itself, it'll tell you enough. But anyways, they got to a point to where they started making white-only communities. And that's when, you know what I'm saying, they crossed the line. So basically, the South Africans started to fight back. They started to off these people, as they should, because they're trying to colonize them, just like they did here in America. But again, like I said, this was all from the demon rats because they're literally paying people to go to other countries to take over, just like they pay people to come here to America to take over. So to keep this simple, Trump feels as though this is the quote unquote, the United States fault that they're even there in South Africa to begin with. Because when he first tried to get them out, they did not want to leave because they did not understand they was getting paid fraudulent funds. So once they started cutting all the DEI and all the fraudulent funds that Doge did, right? They stopped getting their checks. They started going broke, so they had no choice but to come back or get off by the locals. So all that other bullshit y'all hearing from everybody else online, all they doing is trying to rage bait you when this is the actual truth, because I literally made a video on this months ago. Because like I said, I already know what's happening. It's actually a good thing for South Africa. And if they hear, they got to follow the new system that they're creating. All in order so this shit don't happen again. That's why he's sending people back. So if anybody comes to America, they got to do it the right way so the Americans don't have to pay their bill. And as y'all should know by now, We've literally been paying the bills for the whole world, and that is why we've been struggling here in America. Anyways, y'all know how I keep it. Y'all be guys.
Breaking news, thousands of white South African expats, they have started returning back home. This is according to Reuters. Mind you, some of these people, they denounce their own country. They denounce South Africa. And they stated that they don't want to be involved with South Africa or even be South African. So these people, they moved to Europe, they went to USA, and they became the citizens of USA or even Europe. But later on, more than 1,000 white South Africans, they reinstated their citizenship. They want to be South African again. This is a move of what is called reverse migration. So some of these people, they are moving from USA all the way to South Africa. So some of these experts, they were asked, like, why would you leave USA, the country that everyone want to go to, and go back to South Africa and even reinstate your citizenship and become a South African again? Why would you want to do that? Some of these people, they said going to USA is not what they were expecting. There is a lot of crime. So children, they cannot just play outside without supervision. And also everything is very expensive, and there is no good quality of life. But in South Africa, it's opposite. They're saying that their children, they are able to go and pray outside. It is even better than USA. Breaking news, thousands of white.
Well. It seems like Afrikaner victimhood has jumped the border over to Zimbabwe. The 4,000 farmers whose land was seized in 2000, so 26 years ago, are now lobbying and asking the US President Donald Trump to please help them get the money for the land that they were promised. Now, in 2017, when US sanctions against Zimbabwe was at its height, and after President Emmerson Mnangagwa took over from Robert Mugabe, he wanted to ease those tensions and promised these farmers that he would give them money. That was in 2017. That would have been a 20-year repayment agreement. That hasn't happened, and now they are turning to the US to interfere in Zimbabwe's political agreements with their citizens. Now, this doesn't necessarily surprise me. I actually wrote an essay about this that is going to be published by Heinrich Böll Stiftung soon about Afrikaner victimhood. And it is a global phenomenon. It is not only South Africa, Australia, and now Zimbabwe who is struggling with this kind of victimhood mentality. It is international, global, and it is emotional call to action to the powerhouses of the world, of the governments of the world, to interfere in the sovereignty of these countries to come and save them. It is an emotional play for humanitarian aid, and it is working. And it is dangerous because, as we've seen, presidents and heads of state are being snatched up, they're being unalived. This is not just a laughing matter, it's serious. Think of Sarah Jane Trent, White Woman Tears. This is the equivalent of White Woman Tears. And they are crying to someone as gullible, ignorant, and power-hungry as President Trump. Well. It seems like Afrikaner victim.
To all of the South African Afrikaans refugees that are coming to America soon, I just want to let you know, as someone whose wife is Afrikaans, who's been to South Africa multiple times, you're going to have a bad time. There's no white genocide happening in South Africa. You have crime that's happening as a result of racism-fueled generational economic inequality, the same thing that's happening in America. We're just a couple decades ahead of you on the unchecked capitalism timeline. But I have good news for you. You don't have to worry about the cheap exploited labor rising up against you anymore, because now that you're in America, you'll get to be the cheap exploited labor. If you were middle class or upper middle class in South Africa and you come to America, you're poor now. Like really poor. You're not going to have maids and gardeners and personal servants that you can pay $15 a day for. Now you get to be the cheap labor. But by all means, please come to America and experience the American capitalism that Elon Musk's been raving about to you. You'll probably love it. You know, what do I know? There's probably very little chance that you'll end up going back to South Africa in a year or two after realizing how overpriced and fucked up America is. I wouldn't even worry about that as a possibility. And if you think I'm being mean to these people because I think they're a bunch of racist bigoted
Hilarious,
colonizers who wish they
hilarious.
could go back to apartheid South Africa. It's just because I do think that. But to
Facts.
them, I say,
Right.
welcome to the American dream. Please let me know when you've woken up from it.
Seventh answer, how do you do this? How do you find all this stuff, man? But you heard him, right? You heard him. You heard him. And see, the thing is, right? Okay, for those who are watching, and you may have virgin ears, like I said, we can't beep 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 beep. You know, so forgive some of the colorful and spicy language, but emotions are running high. But we're showing. But this again, this shows you that we here on the Lion's Den, we don't make these things up. For those who may say we're racist, no, we're not. Here you have whites now breaking it down to the nitty gritty. So what you gonna call them? So like I said, the truth is the truth. You can't, no matter how you try to dress it up, a lie that is, a lie is gonna still be a lie. But the truth is the truth, and it can't be denied. Like he said,
Facts.
like he said, all these white folks over here, just like the American white folks are finding out that their racism is now biting them in the butt. All these South Afrikaners and all the other European immigrants, Ukraine, that came here on the Democrat gravy train, they're all getting cut off now too. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep,
Go ahead, Sadiq, what's on your mind? Go ahead.
You're right. Yep, I'm just just touching and agreeing, as they used to say up in the church, man. You're right. And so, yeah, during the this is interesting. Yeah, like you said, the Dems allowed open season on the southern border. Some say the northern border as well. We've seen footage over the last before Trump took his second term. We've seen people coming. We've seen illegals just basically storming the Southern California beaches and just crash boats into the beach while people are standing, just run and crash. You see a boat come out of nowhere, crash in the middle of this on the beach, and just start running and shit into the middle, disappearing into the city side, to the neighborhoods. It was that bad. And so now the Dems, in a political sense, with these guys, with the parties, whatever, Democrats and the Republicans, that's connected to that. Even though I think the feds are manipulating both sides towards a means to make this country great again, they're gonna play chess. Needless to say, using every pawn on the table, political parties included. And so, with that is to say that that we have to understand that they're going for broke. You know, and so I was about to lose my thought, and I was going to talk about the African, the Africa. Well, I forgot my other point, but I go to this other point. The Afrikaner guy, he said they're going to have a hard time over it. See, Trump also need more Euro gene pool. It's that as well. The Mexicans are being used as a gene pool to Asians as well. They're not just here to bolster numbers. They're here to put skin in the game as well. You'll see a lot of, I see a lot of I see a lot of Asian white or Asian and Euro couples nowadays. I see a lot of Euro and Mexican couples as well. Just at my job, you don't see too many white couples having kids, and they could be married 6, 7, 8 years. I actually actively asked these guys, like I mentioned before, I talked to them in person about some of this stuff in a covert kind of a way. Under the guise of just BSing, on our lunch breaks and just during downtime, whatever. And so I get the sentiment. I spare you all of the details, but when I asked the young married white couples and just white folks in general, they're not interested in having kids. But from my experience, for the most, based on people I talk to at my job, and I work at many of my jobs, I worked out the last 5 to 10 years. At any rate, so they need new genetic donor material. And so I think they want to also bring the Afrikaner over here for that as well. We've seen them import whites into a targeted area all over the different parts of the world where they want to whiten up the area, whatever. We've seen them do that. They've brought white Europeans over down into the West Indies over the last century. Whiten up the area, establish a what you call an elite class and so forth. And so that's not unusual. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Many have speculated that given that it's too hard to move people, to convince people to come here, to want to go through the orientation process, to the paperwork involved. Some say this is why they just collapsed the border to skip the 5 to 10 to 15 year immigration process to get these folks over here today now. We need them now. They're waiting for the Euro guy to fall in love with a woman at the movie theater in the classical senses. It takes too much time. The immigrate over here to legally, it just takes too much time and money. Man, open the borders, flood the borders. Some would say over the last 4 or 5 years, we were getting 200,000 to 300,000 immigrants per month, 24 hours a day, for 4, 5, 6 years at least, if not more than that. And so they collapsed. They dissolved the southern border. They dissolved the immigration laws for a time being. If we're trying to tighten it up here now under the guise of Republican leadership. That's what I was going to say. We're going to get into the political thing with the Democrats. So the Democrats help foster the influx of all of these foreigners, right? And so they put a lot of things in place financially, and particularly in the black voting areas and the Democratic black strongholds, like your inner city Chicago's or Detroit's, or you get the idea, your urban areas around the country where usually Democratic sentiment reigns high, at least from a historical standpoint over the last 60 years, give or take. And so we've since, particularly under the FBA movement, have totally delimited the delineation that's tied into delineating from the political party of voting straight, wholesome Democrat as well. We've seen this happen. It's so big. It's so much. I want to go. It's so much to say. We've seen what happened with the Kamala campaign, a lot of stuff. Anyway, we've let the Democrats crash and burn, and so they want to bring all these immigrants over here and give them a lot of entitlements and take away a lot of our benefits. Like my brother said earlier, Doc said earlier, they're taking away some of the EBT benefits. They're taking away a lot of the unemployment benefits and creating new benefit programs just for these guys. I see reports of even immigrants becoming police officers in our community, right?
Yeah.
I've seen they becoming gun owners with no ID. See,
But let
these
me
guys don't
ask
have
you
ID. Yeah, it's just so much. I just stop there. It's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, but I feel
Yeah,
like this is
but
what
you're
I feel
dropping it.
like he's doing. He's basically working for these foreign leaders. Okay, first he
Right.
was working for Russia. I guess they fell out because Trump is greedy. See, Trump is a criminal. He knows he's a criminal. Once he get out off the office, they're gonna come after him. So he's trying to have people that's gonna support him. And then he's starting this little war so he can, he listening to the internet. I know that for sure. So
Fact.
whatever they say, you see him doing. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Facts.
When they talk about, if you create a war, then you can, get these terms. So he's basically trying to bring in these numbers, with these
Right.
foreigners, so they can give him a favor. It's like favor for favor, but they're like, forget all that. You know what I mean? But
Right.
this man is trying to crash the economy from the inside. Okay, he's working for them. You know what I mean? He know that once he out of the office, he only put in the office to destroy the economy, the whole system from the inside, all the way around. So
Yeah.
once he get off that office, they owe him a favor. Like he have to have some of these players, leaders, putting them in, high places, because he is trying to create a war to destroy America from the inside out.
Yeah. He's considered by and large, by many accounts, the white messiah. He said such in many interviews. I think over the first term, was it, where he looked up into the sky during an interview and said, "I was sent down." As he answered a question from a report, he looks up and said, "I was sent down to save these guys." And so he's here to wake the white dead masses. Like you said, somebody said earlier that the white mind of white supremacy, or the white rule, understand that the writing of demise and degradation, their whole way of thinking is totally degenerative at the end of the day. And so they know the writing is on the wall. Somebody said earlier. So he has to, he's destroying it, but he has to to help save this place and what we call set a new paradigm under the AI banner. We know that though
Right.
it's so many, and that just opens the door to a whole nother area. We know that Trump right now has put together. And it's so much to say. He's put together an AI IT panel, included with Musk and a few others, and it's supposed to be like a Harlem Globetrotters of the IT world. And so, and he's made other assertions publicly that say, where people were kind of questioning, talking about the AI, how the dangers of it and all the different aspects of it, like where are we going with this? And so it's been some talk to corral it and whatever. And so he's said publicly, he said, you better not corral it. Come after it if you want to. I'm gonna come after you. So we can't have a new normal ran under AI paradigm, which competes and almost virtually eliminates the human resource. This is why we're seeing I don't want to go too far ahead of myself, but this is why we're seeing the elimination based virtue of income tax, and this is being replaced with the tariff system, which is so much, man. But anyway, I'm just, but the Democrats, I'll just go back to the Democrats. For the Democrats or whatever, they put their money in the pot to bet on overflow of immigrants as a place, as part, some would argue, as a means to punish us, the FBA voting class. Remember, we turned on these guys because they wouldn't deliver what we call the tangibles, the reparations, the anti-black crime police bill, a lot of anti-racism crime. They don't want to play ball or whatever. They keep trying to put us in the all lives matter. You guys need to pipe down or strap, pull yourself by your bootstraps, just vote blue no matter who, otherwise have a nice day. And so we've just simply had enough. And so we shut them down and they're pissed. And so they've let us know that they're pissed in many ways. And one of the ways is they try to bring in a new voter base.
Yes,
So,
they did, and it
and so that's it.
backfired.
Right. You already ahead of it, sis. You guys already ahead of it. I'll just yield there for now. I'll just stop there.
Yeah, but what
But
I'm
let me ask you two a quick question
this
though.
is the reason why I keep saying that he's trying to destroy it, because he messed up the alliance. He don't care about, you know what I mean, with that brick no more, their little alliance no more. He destroyed, you know what I mean, the relationship between the different leaders that that's with us, you know what I mean, like, and he making sure that he give out the money to different places, you know what I mean. Trump don't care about no AI. That's Israel. Israel is the ones that care about AI. They want to be in control of all of that, just like Elon Musk. They want to be in control of the internet and different resources. They just put that in his head and he just spitting it out there to the world. But he don't care about none of that. All he care about is fundings. You know what I mean? And right now he care about freedom. He that AI stuff is only put in his head. He don't care about that. You see how he dissed Elon Musk after he was through with him and his creations.
Yep. But let me ask you two a quick question, right? There was something that was said in one of the clips that the people, the South Afrikaners that came here, they're complaining about being put in unsafe neighborhoods. Now I wonder what that means.
Yeah.
What
yeah. We know all about that.
That's America, not
right. Notice when they to help control. Remember, they're bringing a buffer group to help to work with the white supremacists to make distance between the ruling class and the underclass. We're considered the underclass, and the buffer class is like a buffer between the upper and lower. Now, to properly buffer us, they will have to insulate themselves against us. They will have to. We've seen it. We've seen it over the last few years. We've seen the Mexicans all in the black communities. We've seen the Indians influx. We've seen the Chinese walking down in the hood at night. Now, we've seen foreign whites riding, from even out of state within this country, bringing in whites from the rural shit. Let me just my bad. But from Ishwater, USA. Stickwater, USA. They're coming into the urban areas from Pisswater, USA, pretty much rural countrysides that basically have a little to no white population, and they flood them into the urban areas, even domestically, and so they have to bring them into our communities to take the money to help deplete us economically. See, and there's so many different areas you can get into. Also, militaristically, it makes sense to bring them into right up under our noses so they can see what we're doing, what we're thinking. Many have said that the revolution that will come to help get our footing on the ground would come from the hoods, not from the rich black areas, but from the ghettos of the lowest of the low. Ideally, was where your revolutionary new mindsets are coming out. Like a lot of us coming from the neighborhoods, we're not necessarily from the millionaire class. I speak for myself. Necessarily when we had these conversations, we're not necessarily upper class, right? And so they know that, they're aware of that, and so they'll send the white Afrikaner, they'll send the Mexican, they'll send the Indian, the Asian, to the neighborhoods because they don't really want them out in their neighborhoods, right? And so this is to help control us, to run our businesses. And we've seen the wig shops, the Chinese shops, the Arab shop, running the liquor and all this.
Right.
And and then they'll obviously commit crime in the community. We've seen in Chicago they commit a lot of crime in our community, bringing the African guy, Nigerian guy into the community, Cameroon guy, whatever, bringing the East African guys into the community. We see the crime they're producing in the black community in Minneapolis, of Minnesota, all kinds of scams and scandals, right?
They ain't getting 2,000 though. They getting more than 2,000. That's the
Right. And so in terms of the AI thing, remember these guys are losing bodies. They have a lot of weaponry, but not enough bodies. They have a lot of weapons, more than you can imagine. Some you can even imagine, but there's not enough physical people to hold them. They're also bringing these guys over here for that as well, the Asians and the buffer class, so they can hold some of these guns and weapons as a stand-in force for white supremacy. I don't know if he's going to go into all of that, but I'm just kind of going beyond what he's saying there. But because I look at the big picture now, as I was mentioning earlier, this takes too much time for the white guy to fall in love with each other as it once was to have kids. So they may start stamping out a robo hunky, robo white guy, robo Euro. See, as a police force, as a labor force. See, or in both, right? And so as a stand-in. Right, literal physical stand-in, and they will eventually give these guys rights as they become more "quote unquote" human-like, if you will, because it's faster. You can stamp these guys out by the hundreds overnight, and the technical know-how and how to do that, they'll perfect that and so forth as we move on further and further. Let's not be dismayed by the public fallout and performative fallout, and on the far right. Trump falls out with everybody pretty much, and that's wickedly beautiful. Remember, he has to collapse this mofo to reestablish a new normal, right? The World Economic Forum said the world started over in 2020. Most didn't even catch it. They said it publicly. It was a great reset in 2020. He declared the world as a reset in 2020. And so when they kicked it off with a pandemic, they kicked it off with right? And that's not happenstance, because you have to create chaos and utter destruction so that a new order can come out of what? Apparent chaos. You got to create chaos if you're going to create a new order. Any woman can tell you that when she have her period, there's a normal before the period, there's a normal after the period. But in between, it's utter, total, mind-bending, upside down, inside out chaos. See, and we can see it in the weather patterns. It's indicative of the change that's underway. The temperatures all over, the temperatures of the animal. It's so much to show how you have to have chaos, which is typically destructive, right? Like into a forest fire, right? In California wildfires, before the fires get set, you got a reality, and then after some say nature produces fires to reset, to rebuild, to get a new generation, burn out diseased trees and diseased whatever plant life, whatever, to help make way for the new. This is what he's been charged to do, to create as much chaos as possible. And so he's doing it in every way you can imagine. He's dissolving some government agencies. He has to do those things to make way for automated workforce, automated base economy. It's going to run this motherfucker. Just mark my words. See. Right? I mean, if you're laying everybody off, nobody's working. And why would you dissolve? Why would you partially dissolve the IRS? Well, simply put, as you employ more robots, do robots pay income taxes? The answer will be no, right? Let's see what else. Does robots? Do we need brick and mortar stores if we're not going to hire individual humans to run them? The answer would be again no. See, they may try to articulate that to say, due to crime, we're going to close some of this stuff. We've seen reports over the last few years, but we're going to get away from, nonetheless, we're going to get away from brick and mortar stores because humans won't be working, much less shopping. So do robots shop? The answer is no. So we don't need the brick and mortar stores. We don't need the brick and mortar schools either. You don't have to do, does robots learn as like a human does? Take a wild guess what the answer to that is. The answer is going to be no. I can go on and on just naming this stuff. So we don't need a robust department of education, right? You can just download stuff into that thing's head, right? I mean, I'll just stop there. I'll just digress.
Man, basically what you're saying is that Cyberdyne Systems is about to go sentient.
But ultimately, yes. Given the trends we're dealing with, but they have we would never agree to that, and they know we won't agree to any of that. So I get into some other things to make us agree. They have to shock us and scare you to death, project fear campaigns, and any disease or anything wicked or abnormal tend to project fear code, nightmare codes, nightmare projections onto the unsuspecting public. And so we would be scared into agreeing to these new policies, draconian policies, as a last ditch effort so we can turn the corner to establish some degree of normalcy. So it's so much that partially, I'll just say, one of the key ways to do this is profound cyber attacks. So you hear about these cyber attacks every day because a lot of the information that's being stolen that you hear about, and stolen by the millions, is they're feeding us into a conglomerate world database, a world server to help feed the AI aspect. How else would they circumvent? How else would they collaborate and consolidate all those stuff as we understood they would do in the future at some point? It's going to be done through cyber attacks. And Trump talks a lot about the need of enhancing current security measures as we push forward into what I call the age, here you go, guys, into the age of verification. I don't know if you haven't heard it nowhere else, you heard it here first. That's the age, that's where we're on the dawn of the age of verification.
Okay. With that being said, I see Seventh Answer, you got our boy up. What direction you taking us in now, hon?
Okay, so I wanted to go with the fact that, remember we was talking about him not being seen, but then it's like video showing him being seen, but they catching the fact that he got like 6 fingers.
Right, I see that. Right.
But I want to go into I'm about to refresh it because I just see other videos where I wanted to talk about how he wants to control the media and AI, but I want to lead into this, so y'all gonna see me refresh.
Okay.
Right.
Let's go to work.
It's funny. Right.
Let's go.
What happened? They kicked you out? Well, anyway, while we wait for the video to come back up, we want to thank you out there in Lions Den land. We hope that you're enjoying this conversation. We have Sadiq Ra sitting here on the panel with us, bringing his, God-given talents and expertise and his insight, hindsight, foresights, and intelligence to the foray. So as we continue on with the conversation, let's make it happen, Seventh Answer. Take it away.
Yeah, I said I had to refresh it, so because I other videos that was, I added. So let me play it.
Who in English says, "We want to free the Iranians from their horrible, tyrannical government." But Netanyahu, speaking in Hebrew, says, "End them all, including the women and children." This is the real Netanyahu. One message for the West, another for his base. And it makes sense because a lot of the Americans don't even know who Netanyahu is. It's actually unbelievable. Like, only people on TikTok and like Instagram Reels really know who he is. Of course, they're never going to actually translate what he's saying in Hebrew. And that is actually insane. Like, he makes it seem like he literally, his podcast, speaking English, "We are the good guys. We're saving the Iranians from their horrible government. They're going to take it over." But then in Hebrew, we're like, we need to literally end them, including the women and children, the innocent Iranians that have nothing to do with the tyrannical government. So that just shows he wants to get rid of that bloodline of them. What do y'all think? Let me know about this in the comments, your actual opinion. Do you
The US government is now keeping an AI database of any anti-Israel social media content you post. This includes likes, comments, favorites, or even viewing too many of them on social media apps. And they're doing this through Palantir, and in the One Big Beautiful Bill, Trump designated $250 billion to this Israeli tech company. They will be monitoring all of the data on your phone, compiling an AI database on everyone, on anything you engage that is anti-Israeli. And they're using the excuse that this is for the task force of anti-Semitism, that they're going to try to crack down on anti-Semitic hate crimes before they happen. And in the same bill, Congress added a 10-year ban on states being able to regulate AI. Meaning for the next 10 years, let's say that this backfires into some big Israeli plot to arrest everybody, there's nothing we can do for 10 years legally. And this is being implemented this year at a time that we're not going to know. They're going to compile an AI database, and wherever they want to come for everybody, we will never know. The U.S. government, Israeli military will be monitoring and controlling community guidelines on TikTok. Yes, that sounds very crazy, but Larry Ellison, the new owner of TikTok, has designated Israel's 8200 division to run the community guidelines on America's largest platform. Larry Ellison is one of the world's richest men and the single biggest donor to the Israeli military. And they have altered their community guidelines back in September that will ban you for anti-Israel, anti-Semitic content. And if you're wondering who will be judging you on what is anti-Israel, well, that's no other than the Israeli 8200 Special Forces Intelligence Unit, which is literally made to combat and promote propaganda in the Middle East. So, when is TikTok turning into a big propaganda tool? Well, within 7 days is whenever the new community guidelines go into effect. America's biggest social media application has been hijacked by a foreign...
After I liberate the Jewish people, I will go to Africa to help liberate the black people.
Video footage of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu talking about Israel's goals for Africa in a press conference in Uganda has many on the continent speculating what those plans and goals are. Will Africa be Israel's next target after they completely dominate Palestine? Watch the video and let us discuss.
We have tremendous opportunities. We've solved our water problem, even though we're a very dry land. We've solved our agricultural problem. We produce with great productivity, vegetables, dairy. I always am boasting which cow produces more milk per cow in the world. You think it's a French cow or a Dutch cow. It's an Israeli cow. It's a computerized cow. Every move is monitored, you know. After I
So guess how much money Netanyahu is requesting Congress to pay them from the American taxpayer money pool. Don't ever let America tell you they don't have enough money to feed the homeless, house families, and rebuild schools and end poverty in the U.S. Because the Pentagon is preparing to ask Congress for $50 billion in emergency funding for Israel's defense. The Pentagon has literally failed its financial audit for the 8th consecutive year as of 2026. It has not passed any of the audits mandated since 2018. I don't even know why they're still trying, and I guess when they fail it doesn't matter because it's literally the government auditing the government. So I guess they really can't do anything because the Pentagon would literally attack them, right? Like, what are they going to do, right? It's just so odd that we have to spend all of that money to defend a country that far away that barely even helps us with our own wars. So anyways, guys, there's only one conclusion, which I can't even say on this video, which shows, and I'm literally in America. So, and what's going on, guys? What do y'all think? So guess how much
Benjamin Netanyahu, now prime minister, of course, exerted lots of pressure openly on the U.S. government to regime change the Saddam government. I was there. It was in Washington, and they complied. I don't think there's any way to read it.
Do you think Israel leads the U.S. and pushes them and tells them what to do?
Not on everything, of course.
Do you think?
Let me be specific.
Okay.
I think the Israeli government strongly pushed the United States to take out Saddam Hussein. But there's no question about that. I think the Israeli government right now, on Bibi Netanyahu, who's been in the White House 7 times in 1 year, pushing for regime change in Iran. I think they're on the verge of convincing this administration to affect regime change.
You think the president is weak? and is being pushed?
I'm not saying that. I know the president's being pushed. Why do you think a foreign leader was in the White House 7 times in 1 year? Are you okay with that? That's a lot.
So Netanyahu just came out publicly saying Jews build America from nothing. America exists only because of Jews, and as we built you, we can destroy you. So guys, I mean, maybe there's some truth to that, but it gets worse. Keep watching. People were pointing out in the comments that the founding fathers of America weren't Jewish nor had any Jewish ties. They were mostly probably Christian. I think that's kind of what they built it on, but not even really. They kind of built it under no God, right? None of them were from anywhere near Israel nor from Israel. The religion they brought to America was Protestantism, Catholicism, and at its core Christianity, while Judaism was settled early in America, mostly around modern day New York. Didn't have any significant impact. The main religion both then and somewhat now is Christianity. But yeah, guys, I mean, if they can make you believe something like this, then it actually becomes true. That's how it works.
You have these new things, you know, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are in social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is TikTok. TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. And you have these new things, you know, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that.
אני דורש מממשלות המערב לעשות את מה שנדרש כדי להילחם באנטישמיות ולתת את הביטחון הדרוש, את ההבטחה הדרושה לקהילות היהודיות בעולם. וכדאי שיקשיבו לאזהרות שלנו. אני דורש מהם פעולה עכשיו. אני דורש מממשלות המערב.
The Benjamin Netanyahu once again posted an AI-generated video on his X account. Reports and speculation are spreading online about a video showing Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, appearing in a coffee shop after being out of public view for about a week. The video was seemingly meant to show that he is alive and well, even briefly displaying his hand to show he has 5 fingers. But many viewers quickly started pointing out unusual details. Some claim the pattern on the coffee surface never changes, even when the cup is lifted. Others say the amount of coffee in the cup appears the same after he drinks from it. A man wearing a coronavirus mask can also be seen in the background, which some say feels unusual for the setting. Critics online have also noted that the cup does not spill when picked up. The lighting on his face appears odd, and his nose looks noticeably different from previous appearances. Because of these details, some people are speculating that editing, masking techniques, or AI could have been used. Nobody knows about the actual thing. Drop your thoughts below and make sure to follow for latest updates. The Benjamin Netanyahu...
I mean, you advised Jeffrey
an independent
Epstein.
Country that I what did you say?
You advised
I was
Jeffrey
his lawyer.
Epstein.
I
Does
was
many
his
good things.
lawyer. I cannot avoid commenting about Max. I mean, basically, what he has said about, you know, Jews controlling this sounds like it could
I
have
didn't
been
say Jews.
part of the protocols of the elders.
I
of
didn't
Zion.
say Jews. What is Larry Ellison doing in the United States? He's buying Paramount to do propaganda films for Israel. His son is buying CBS, and they'll put Barry Weiss as editor-in-chief. This is the takeover that Netanyahu outlined in the meeting with Deborah Leah and these other influencers.
And the most important purchase that is going on right now is TikTok, number one.
You have this dynamic where Miriam Adelson has contributed hundreds of millions of dollars to Donald Trump, paying for his campaign. This is an Israeli asset. So it is an 8-front war, and Donald Trump is under, as Tucker Carlson's sources said, Netanyahu's thumb. This is the worst foreign meddling that we have ever witnessed. This is the real foreign meddling scandal. It's Israelgate.
He talks about Ellison. Ellison
you
is
just
not
you
Israeli.
just insinuated.
He's a Jew.
No, I said Zionists.
He talks about
Israel firsters
Miriam
like
Adelson,
yourselves.
who's an American. Yeah, I'm not
Israel
an Israel
firster.
firster. I'm an American firster. I'm an
You've
American
dedicated your
firster
career to
who
defending
strongly
Israel.
believes
When you're not
in
defending
democracy.
Jeffrey Epstein, you're defending
I've dedicated
Israel.
my career. The idea is that America
I mean, you
is
advised
an
Jeffrey
independent
Epstein.
country that I what did you say?
According to new emails that were reported by Bloomberg on the 26th of this month, you advised Jeffrey
That I what?
Epstein. You advised
I was
Jeffrey
his lawyer.
Epstein.
I
Does
was
many
his
good things.
lawyer.
I mean, you advised Jeffrey.
There's a video of
Netanyahu in a coffee shop, drinking coffee, showing his hands. Why is he doing that? I will explain. So the recent video of Netanyahu, when he was giving his speech, everyone said it was AI generated because he had 6 fingers. Now this time, just to counterattack that, they have made another video thinking we are dumbasses. We don't know nothing. Now the funny thing is, watch this clip and then I will give you my pointers.
אתה רוצה לספור את מספר אצבעות? אתה יכול להראות לנו? פה. פה. ראית? יפה מאוד. לחיים. חושב של המסר לאנשים שיוצאים ממתאווררים.
Now watch the way he takes a sip.
חושב של המסר לאנשים שיוצאים ממתאווררים.
Then watch, he's got no wrinkles.
ראית?
And the last one is have a look at his hand again. The last thing you see on the hands is his hands are raised, they're puffy, they're bigger. It's like 2 hands joined together. Please pay attention to this. The thing is this, we are not stupid. We know what AI is. We know how you generate the videos about AI. And I know why Israel is hiding the fact that Netanyahu is dead. Why? Because their regime, their whole reason for going to this war is going to be dismissed. People are going to rise up. People who are against Netanyahu is going to rise up. And I think rightly so they should. Because he is the devil, and devil is gone to where he's supposed to. Until then, God bless you all, people.
And it is changing fast. Okay, 2 years ago, the mere idea that you might share a perspective that Jews are controlling the media, that would be considered anti-Semitic. You would be called a Jew hater. Fast forward to 2025, and Bibi Netanyahu is now hosting an on-camera meeting with American social media influencers to talk about how they are going to shape U.S. opinion. I honestly, with my eyes, I was going, this can't be real. Like they're not even hiding it anymore, right? It's like first it was a conspiracy theory. Now it's like, here's what we're gonna do, okay? And what are we gonna do? How are we gonna beat out all of these independent voices who are winning because they're telling the truth? So Deborah Lee asked Bibi Netanyahu specifically about Charlie Kirk's assassination and the potential loss of evangelical support for the state of Israel because of it, which, by the way, is going to be the consequence of this. It will be the consequence of this because they lied after he died and it pissed me off. Okay. Take a listen to what Deborah asks.
So something I would like to raise, which was actually my first published paper, was how you and the Likud party are cut from the same ideological cloth as Trump and the GOP in America. And so specifically with Charlie Kirk's assassination, who was a big mentor of mine, who's my first mentor in the space, evangelicals, from all my research, evangelicals are the reason that Israel has been supported in public sphere outside of just Jews. So with Charlie's assassination and with the kind of trajectory that we see with like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, I guess I'm curious about what's another game plan if we lose evangelical support for the state of Israel. What's our backup plan to be strong, like outside of the diaspora?
Okay, first off, I don't know why it's always me and Tucker Carlson. Why? Why is it always Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens? Like, can it be anybody else? It's like, what? We have nothing to do with one another. I've done his show twice on his independent show. I just love Tucker. I do. I'm a fan. I'm not gonna lie. But I feel like they're starting to think we're the same person. Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens over and over again. But listen to Bibi's response because prepare yourself. What he is saying is that they are about to launch a psychological war on Americans. Take a listen to what he says.
Brother, you didn't want any cashews from the gas station?
You said, we talked about the woke right. And you said, I call it the woke Reich. The woke right, because these people, you know, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane. They're Louis. But they're actually meeting on some of the things. And what we have to do is we have to secure that part of the base of our support in the United States. That is being challenged systematically. A lot of this is done with money. Money of NGOs, vast. Money of governments, vaster. Okay? We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers. I think you should also talk to them if you have a chance. To that community, they're very important. And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. You know, the weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well. Okay, and you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, you know, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important.
And it is changing fast. Okay, 2 years ago, the mere idea.
If you wanted to, hey, let's drum up an idea to increase anti-Semitism in the United States and around the world, I can't think of a better way to do that than to have a Zionist take over a major social media platform like TikTok, kick everybody off who's telling the truth about Israel and Gaza and our government's in support of that, and then hire those people to mock Americans for putting America first. If you wanted to, hey,
Benjamin Netanyahu, in an interview today, said that that Israel should look into social media algorithms. He's already got mainstream media on lockdown, but he doesn't like the social media is showing you true pictures of what's happening in Gaza. He wants to shut down all information and freedom of speech for Americans, and you should know that you're ruled by Israel. How dare you not know that? Okay, that's like, give me your social media algorithms. Israel's in charge now. By the way, as you probably know, on TikTok, they hired some sort of IDF goon to look through these videos in some algorithmic way. So soon that lockdown is coming to TikTok. It's basically already on Facebook. And then today, Donald Trump announced that they'll be looking at 55 million visa holders in America. And as expected, it was to see if they were in favor of terrorism or criticized Israel. Of course, Israel.
Christian influencers. Okay. You said, you talked about the woke right. And you said, I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant observation. The woke Reich, because these people, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane. They're beliefs. But they're actually meeting on some of the things. And what we have to do is we have to secure that part of the base of our support in the United States. That is being challenged systematically. A lot of this is done with money. Money of NGOs, vast. Money of governments, vaster. Okay? We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers. I think you should also talk to them if you have a chance. To that community, they're very important. And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. The weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well. Okay, and you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are in social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is class followers. TikTok.
All right, we're back. Rapid fire videos, back to back with the six-figure Netanyahu. Look, it's clear to me this man is gone. He out of here. Okay, and they're desperately trying to save face and hide the fact that he out of here. Ain't no getting around this now. Okay. I'm just waiting for them to pull out a clone. Okay.
Right.
But clearly, he's out of here. Okay. And as you can see, with all the money that they've invested to have one of their main doo-doo starters gone, like I said, this is not going to be a good look. But the bottom line is, when they killed Ali Khamenei, what did you think was going to happen? Did they really think it was going to be a one-sided affair? What's your take on that, Ali? I mean, Sadiq. Okay, you still there, brother?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah. What's going on, Doc? My bad. I was my people talking in the background over on this side. What's up?
Oh, no problem. What's your take on this issue with the missing Benjamin Netanyahu?
Yeah, I posted something in several groups, back chat groups about Israel. They broke a story a few days ago saying that his house was hit through by a series of their bombs, and that he was basically killed at that time. And so they said that Israel wouldn't necessarily announce the true nature of his death, and they may announce it later on under the guise he passed because of a health-related issue, quote or end quote. So yeah, I mean, do I really believe that? Have Iran said that before? Have other Arab nations say they killed? Yeah, more or less, yeah. But is it true this time? You know what, Doc, man, based on the AI footage that we've just seen, in my opinion, I think it's authentic. The hands is whatever, what at any rate, it's just questioning it is suspect. if if Israel puts out footage that's questionable, given his absence, and coupled with the age we live in, with this AI mess, that footage will quote unquote need to be verified. We're heading into the age of verification. This is why we're having questionable content, AI content of any regard, including this latest with Netanyahu. He could be dead. I mean, Ryan could be correct. I don't know. And so it has to be verified, quote unquote. I'll leave it at that. Interestingly enough, this issue with there's, I don't know who that guy is on the video, whose channel that is. He seems to be pushing everything to Israel. We noticed that. I don't know, Doc, have you had the experience, or Kareem, when you talk to some guys about on the FBA subjects in some of these spaces? You know, they always call up in TikTok and some other spaces, saying that it's Israel's fault. It's the Jews. It's not white supremacy. They always do that. Kaye does it too. They'll push everything over to the Jews or whatever, and they'll even deny their whiteness as if they didn't have anything to do with the slave trade and all this other stuff. They blame it solely on the Jews. Yeah, you don't they do that all the time. Almost 90% of the time they all do that. And I think this guy here probably, and mind you, these people are profound racists that does that. You talk to them long enough, they'll come out and tell you, call you a name, whatever. And we tell them all the time, it's not a phenotypical difference between the so-called Euro Jew and the Euro Protestant Euro or non-Jew Euro, and they try to get her mad or whatever, go to gaslighting, whatever, trolling, whatever. At any rate, but they will have to control. I'll say this: they will have to control this free speech on these social media platforms. I won't go into. There's a lot of moving parts in that too, man, because they have to become the police to create the problem before they can give you the solution naturally. And we're dealing with the beast here. We're dealing with whatever school of thought we subscribe to. We deal with the Shaitan if you're Muslim. We deal with Satan if we're dealing with Abrahamic religion. We're dealing with the beast. You're dealing with you're dealing with, you can call it a lot of different things. You're dealing with the abyss. It depends on at any rate, we're dealing with something that wants to realize they've become fed up with our speaking and our wokeism. I think he mentioned that too. The woke is us. And so this issue with the woke, he make fun of, he was mocking it, whatever, because make no mistake about it. Don't take their contexts and talking points on what woke is in the Western media apparatus. They'll make a big joke out of it, says pro-LGBT, whatever. It's us. They're not removing Black history out of different universities in different states, Florida and others, Texas, a few others, and then probably around the world as well, Western community cultures, for nothing. See, because you've become simply too aware. You're not trustworthy anymore. They can't trust what we say. We lost their trust. We've turned on them, and they're very angry about that. And so on these spaces like this, that we've taken over prime time viewership pretty much. The new Black media particularly gets more views than ABC, NBC usually, or they're rivaling at the very least, if not superseding their viewership. They know that. This stuff is very carefully tracked through the AI algorithms and so forth, and they're fine-tuning it to keep a more accurate track as we move along. So he noticed, they've been mentioning about tackling and policing social media, TikTok and others, over the last, I want to say a few years. And so they have to basically copyright everything. There's been a huge push for copywriting music. You can't play this, you can't do that. They have to set themselves up as to become an authority of what frequency or what's to play over your channels or whatever. This is going to lead into the AI. This is part of the AI paradigm to lead into what we call verification. They're going to verify who you are and track and trace you. It's under the code of track and trace. So many moving parts in this stuff. The track and trace law was passed, I think, January 2024. I'll just stop there. This is all, they're all going somewhere with this stuff. It's going to lead to verification. I'll just leave it there.
You're right about the fact that there is talking about us. We've been showed that they was talking about, I'm going to find that video, that the Black people, but we the only ones pushing now, waking the children up, saying that you are the chosen children. We're a threat to them.
Facts.
So, especially when you look at it and said that they're lying, the Bible speaks on them, saying that they lying, claiming to be, the chosen people, but they're not. So here it is, the woke Black Israelites are threats to them. It's the Black Israelites. They want to shut that down because TikTok and social media has been a best, promotion outlets so they can get the information out. They it works better than the news. You know,
Yes.
they already got control of that. You see, they said the influence.
Right.
They're gonna pay the influence to throw propaganda and misinformation and all that type of stuff. But it's hard to get a person that's strong in their faith, which is a Christian. They're attacking them because they know a Christian is strong in their faith. And then the Hebrew Israelites, they know that they cannot, they're challenging them. Christians ain't really challenging them. The Israelites are challenging them, saying and reading scriptures and proving that they're, who the people are. So it's a big threat to them. So that's the reason why they want to take TikTok. They got Facebook in their hands. They got YouTube, and they got my channel through TikTok. So I know as soon as you see what they do is they post things. It don't even matter if you share somebody else post. That post been up there probably a million times. They'll keep that post up there so you can share it. So it's like a clickbait, so you can share so they can shut your platform down. It's, you know what I mean? They use certain propaganda to, so you can bite it so they can try to shut your channel down because they're monitoring you. And then like the White House, made their little platform on TikTok. That was like the first last year. So yeah, it is actually going down. And that's when I got my platform taken last year.
No way. Really?
Yeah, that's a new one.
Wow.
That's a new one.
Dig that.
Yeah, because I was sharing the same thing I'm sharing now. And I don't care. Yeah, same thing.
Trying to stop for your light.
Definitely.
It's what they do. It's what they do. But now, brothers and sisters, we're coming up on now the final couple of 10 minutes of the 3 hours that we give you. And as you can see, this conversation has been hot and heavy. We hope, and we not even hope, we know that you've enjoyed this one, okay? But in my neck of the wood, it's about to be midnight, y'all. And I have got to get up out of here.
All right. Yeah.
But listen, so Brother Sadiq, thank you for coming through.
Thank you, brother.
giving
Thanks
us
for
a
having me,
beautiful
family. I
conversation.
appreciate it. It's an honor.
All right. It's an honor for you to have come through to give your insight, hindsights, and every other sight that you've been given. And like I said, this shows you how the Seventh Answer and myself give it up, ladies and gentlemen. We understand that there are other viewpoints out here, and we're not shy. We don't go. We'll go out here, look for them, bring them here, and let you hear. But you can't say that we deprive you, because we won't deprive you ever. So, Sadiq Ra, I want to give you, a parting shot to the viewers out there. Let them know where you can be reached, or if they want to talk to you further, if you have your own site or webpage.
Yes. I have a YouTube channel called Michigan's Natural Living. Even though it's a different, that's more of a front end kind of a thing to sell elixirs and herbal products on that one. I have a Facebook page that's under my name here, Sadiq Ra. You can always feel free to drop in, leave a message, DM me, whatever. But and I'm there now, and I'm on different platforms. But I feel honored to sit and talk with you guys, man. Kareem, I've been knowing her for a while. I finally got a chance to sit in a common space with her and really kick it. And Doc USA, man, I finally met you today, bro. It's been an honor. You guys are bright, brilliant. I'm just like glowing over here, man, with the triad of energy, the holy trifecta energy we got going, man. I hate we had to end it, man, but I got to come back definitely, bro. You guys got me feeling some type of way right now, for real.
Definitely got to come back. Yeah, this is where you at now. This is where they can find you. This is your
right here. Yeah. Facts. Yeah, I'll be back up. I'll come back here. Yeah, there we go. There it is.
And seventh answer, you have any parting shots?
No, I enjoyed his company. I see you all the time posting on Facebook. So I appreciate you joining. Anybody can join. So that's how this platform is. It's for everybody, anybody. You know, we just want to build off of each other. We don't want to disagree with the information. And if I can go research what you're talking about, I'm gonna bring it to the table so people can understand where you're coming from just as well as where I'm coming from. So
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate you.
All right. And so, as we now come to an end, don't fret, don't panic. You can always replay this broadcast. And as you can see, we are rapid fire producing all types of different conversations and topics, but diversity is where it counts. And we come from the train of, I know something, Sadiq knows something, the seventh answer knows something. See, somebody out here, you know something. And even that little bit you might think might be insignificant. No, that little bit that you know out there could be that piece of information we need to make the plane, train, or automobile go. So let your light shine. And again, we have given you a thorough smorgasbord of information that you can check out under the 7I formula. This is the Lion's Den. The conversation continues, talking about what's on your mind. And as we sign off, we have the seventh answer, Lady Karima. I am Brother Malakaya, and we have had family member Sadiq Ra lending his statesmanship, and we thank him very much for that. So we're going to be back. Don't worry. But in the meantime, between time, make sure, ladies and gentlemen, that you get up off your duff and check things out for yourself. See, we don't want you to just take our word for it. We want you to get up off your duff and check it out for yourself and think for yourself. Okay? And as always, here in the Lion's Den, we want you to hit that like button, that subscribe button. It's free. Okay? Hit the stars button to support Lady Karima as she does what she do. Okay? And again, I am your host, Brother Mala Akaya, the seventh. Okay, I'm about to say seven. Okay, Brother Mala Akaya, aka Dark Storm, aka Big Baby Hebrew, along with the seventh answer, the Lioness, Lady Karima. We thank you out there. Wait a minute. Okay, yeah. We thank you out there in Lion's Den land for allowing us to come into your mind, soul, and cipher. We thank I Am Man, Big Mississippi, Miss Tay, Mulatto, Brother Mulatto, along with Salah Ben Yah for coming through in the panel. Okay? And we're going to be signing off with some original music, but as always, in the spirit of Don Cornelius, on the Hebrew tip. But wait a minute, wait. How could I forget to say this? And we give an honor to the Lord in Christ, from whom all positive thoughts flow. And in the spirit of our brother once known as Don Cornelius, we say to you all, but wait, one more thing. I want to dedicate this show to the memory of one of my all-time favorite actresses, beautiful dark angel, Miss Judy Pace, who we lost, a few days ago, March 11th. Miss Judy Pace, who starred in so many different films. But my fondest memory of Miss Pace was when she was James Evans's temptation at the cabin when him and Florida went on their anniversary, and she showed up. We rest in peace to her beautiful memory, Miss Judy Pace. And now we sign off in the spirit of Don Cornelius on the Hebrew tip by saying, Shalom.
Shalom.
Be about your peace. Ahab, because we love you. And Napash, maintain and protect your Soul. Seventh answer. Take us up out of here.
Isaiah 29 with 9 and 12 says they are drunk but not with wine. They stagger but not with strong drink. For the Lord has poured over you the spirit of deep sleep. And close your eyes, the prophets and your leaders, the seers he has covered. And for all of you, the vision of all this has become like the words of a sealed book. When it is handed over to one who can read, he says, I cannot read this, for it is sealed. And then it is handed over to one who cannot read, and he says, read this, please. In Haggai 29:11-12 continues, and the vision of all this has become to you like the words of a book that is sealed. When it is handed over to one who knows the writing, he says, I cannot read this, for it is sealed. The passage continues in verse 13. And the Lord said, because this people draw near with their mouth and honor me with their lips, while their hearts are far from me, and their fear of me is a commandment taught by men. The passage continues in verse 14. Therefore, behold, I will again do marvelous things with this people, wonderful and marvelous. And the wisdom of their wise men shall perish, and the discernment of their discerning men shall be hidden. And then in verse 15, woe to those who deeply hide their plans from the Lord, and whose deeds are in darkness, and they say, who sees us or who knows us? Therefore, behold, I will again do marvelous things with this people, wonderful and marvelous, and the wisdom of their wise men shall perish, and the discernment of their discerning men shall be hidden. Woe to those who deeply hide their plans from the Lord, and whose deeds are in darkness, and they say, who sees us or who knows us? Is your plan to be counted as potter's clay, as if a thing made should say about its maker, he did not make me, or the thing formed say of its form, he has no understanding. Is it not yet a very little while, and Lebanon shall be turned into a fruitful field, and the fruitful field shall be regarded as a forest? And in that day the deaf shall hear the words of a book, and out of their gloom and darkness the eyes of the blind shall see. The afflicted also shall increase their joy in the Lord, and the needy shall rejoice in the Holy One of Israel. For the ruthless man shall come to naught, and the scoffer shall cease, and all who watch for iniquity shall be cut off. Who cause a person to lose his case with a mere word, and lay a snare for him who upbraids in the gate without justification or right, and make a hollow mockery of the rights of the just and upright man. Therefore, thus says the Lord who redeemed Abraham concerning the house of Jacob, Jacob shall not now be ashamed, neither shall his face now turn pale. For when he sees his children, the work of my hands in his midst, they shall sanctify my name. They shall sanctify the Holy One of Jacob, and reverently fear the God of Israel. Those who err in spirit shall gain understanding, and those who complain shall accept instruction.